Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's 3:08 on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson in on this Tuesday. Feels like a Monday, but it's Tuesday. Ready for 4 hours of radio as we bring you news and information that you can use. And I'd have to say that right now we're keeping a very close watch on the events at the Trump trial in New York City. That will be our lead story today. Let me tell you where we are. The defense team has made their final closing arguments, and now the prosecutors get to have their say. And they're doing about 3 hours, and they've completed one, so they've got about 2 hours to go. Right now, the jury is taking a bathroom break, and they'll be going back in pretty quick to hear the rest of what the prosecution has to say. I think a very strong reaction. Very strong performance by the defense team today in pointing out that there's all kinds of reasonable doubt in this particular case. And that's something that a lot of legal analysts agree with. That's not just what the Trump team thinks. There's a lot of people who sort of buy into that. And they went after, as you might imagine, Michael Cohen, because the whole thing pins on this weird 90-second phone call that he claims to have made that. Well, there's a lot of skepticism about that particular phone call because it looks like it was about something else, quite frankly. So what I think may happen here, so if they go back in and they finish the next 2 hours without a break, that would mean that sometime in the 6 o'clock hour in New York, 5 o'clock hour here, they would wrap up. And then what I think is very telling is that the jury actually informed the judge that they want to stay late and work this thing tonight. They want to begin their deliberations tonight. Now, what is that? If I were the defense team, I think I would be feeling pretty good about that, because I think maybe to the jury there's a feeling that this won't take us very long. Maybe we can get out of here and not have to come back tomorrow. So I don't know, but that would start at about our 5 o'clock hour. It should go to the jury sometime in that hour. Now, we're going to be watching every moment of that, but there's been something of a circus sideshow down there in New York today. I think the thing that is catching a lot of people by surprise is that the Biden campaign actually held a press conference outside the courtroom. Now, I think huge mistake by them, because if you want to say that this is not political, then why in the world would you then hold a press conference to make it political? And then they had there an appearance by actor Robert De Niro made an appearance. And, I know about one thing you say about actors is that they're empty vessels that are filled by the words of others, that they don't really have many thoughts of their own. Well, he had some thoughts. They were unhinged thoughts about what this is going to be. Here is Robert De Niro outside the courthouse today, again, in a press conference called by the Biden campaign.
Under Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms goodbye that we all take for granted. And elections, forget about it. That's over. That's done. If he gets in, I can tell you right now, he will never leave. He will never leave. You know that. He will never leave.
Well, where in the world do you get that? I don't understand where he possibly gets. I mean, hasn't Trump, last time, he didn't like the outcome, but he left. What makes him think that Trump will stay in office? Come on. Really? That's just ridiculous.
He will never leave.
Well, I want Robert De Niro to go back to acting. And again, a huge mistake, I think, by the campaign, the Biden campaign, in organizing this, because it absolutely looks as if it is political, even though they have claimed that it's not. We had all kinds of reaction here. Here's Donald Trump entering the courtroom today.
Donald Trump did nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. This is everybody saying it. Except we have a judge who's corrupt. We have a judge who's conflicted. You know what the conflict is, so do I, but I can't say it because I'm under a gag order, which is another unconstitutional thing. You ever hear of a president, leading candidate, leading Biden, leading everybody, and have a gag order? I'm not allowed to speak. It's a first. No president has not been allowed to speak. But this is it. Read the cover today of the New York Post. Read all the stories in the New York Post. Everybody says this is crazy. This is not the trial that should happen. It's a very sad day. This is a dark day in America. We have a rigged court case that should have never been brought. And it should have been brought in another jurisdiction. As you know, we asked for that, and the judge never allows us anything. So thank you all very much. We'll see how it goes. This is a very dangerous day for America. It's a very sad day. Thank you.
Are you worried about a conviction?
And, of course, then he went into the courtroom from the echoey hallway. It's a shame that that's where we get most of our sound. You can barely understand him, but that's the way it is. And, you know, the judge makes him stay there. He can't go out and be anywhere else. He has to be in that courtroom. So this is the only opportunity we get to hear what's on his mind. Let's see. Don Jr. was outside, and he was talking about what a sham this is.
This is a sham. It's insane, and it needs to stop, because if you think for 1 second that this ends with Donald Trump, you have not been watching what's going on in the Democrat Party in the last few years. They want power at any and all costs. Your rights be damned. That can't stand. That can't happen. This sham prosecution, this insanity, this abomination has to stop now.
Eric was right behind him, and he was wound up. Eric Trump was wound up, had a lot to say.
So I sit here today as a son. Forget about politics for a second. I've been in that courthouse with my father almost every single day. And not a single New Yorker, as they look at murders in the streets, women getting thrown in front of trains, kids getting shot in Times Square, the degradation of this city. Not a single New Yorker believes that over $130,000 payment from 9 years ago, from 8 years ago, that the entire DA's office is lining that courtroom. They're sitting there, they're laughing, they're giggling. This was their moment. This is how they embarrassed Donald Trump. This is legal lawfare. All while this state absolutely melts. Everybody that sits here right now, every single one of you, knows that this is not the same state that we knew 10 years ago. Knew it was not the same state as we saw 5 years ago. You have total degradation of New York State because the only thing that Alvin Bragg wants to do, only thing that Letitia James wants to do is criminally prosecute Donald Trump. And they're doing it for one reason. They're doing it because they have a political vendetta. They're all funded by George Soros. That's what this is. This is political lawfare, and it absolutely has to stop. And I watch a man, he's the toughest man I've ever seen, and he endures this nonsense every single day. He sits in that seat, and that's not comfortable. He's never done a damn thing wrong. They tried to impeach him in D.C. They tried to impeach him a second time. They went after his Supreme Court justices. They turned the DOJ, they turned the FBI against him. They couldn't stop him. When that didn't work, guess what they did? They went after his family. They went after me. 110 subpoenas later that I've received. I've never gotten so much as a parking ticket. 110 subpoenas. They went after Don. They went after Laura. They went after little Barron Trump as a young kid, as a young teenager. They went after Tiffany Trump. They tried to make his life hell. And then they weaponized every single DA. They weaponized every AG in every far left area because Biden is incompetent and he's losing in all the polls. Across the board, he's losing in every quantifiable metric. Our country is going to hell.
Well, there you go, a little bit of Eric Trump. What are the legal analysts saying? Here's Jonathan Turley, who spoke on Fox News right after the defense team did their final arguments.
Well, the defense, of course, has wrapped up. They took only about 3 hours, which is substantially less than what the government will be using over 4 hours. The government's obviously going to have to respond to the attacks on Michael Cohen. And the defense raised all of the aspects that you would expect. The fact that no one actually tied Donald Trump to making any of these entries. In fact, a key witness said that the entry as a legal expense was due to a rather antiquated drop-down menu that was done by people in the Trump Corporation. But the most glaring aspect of the closing, and we'll see if the prosecution deals with it, is the missing witness. That is, Cohen himself is thoroughly unbelievable. He is a serial perjurer, and most of us believe that he lied repeatedly before this jury. But he kept on referring to Weiselberg, the person who actually agreed to the retainer references and the payment system. Weiselberg is not far from here. He's sitting in a Rikers jail, but the prosecution did not call him. So most of us are assuming Weiselberg was not called because he would not have confirmed what Cohen said. And we'll see what the prosecution does with that.
All right. Now, even over at CNN, they're clutching their pearls over there. They're very concerned because, even their own analysts are saying, there is a lot of reasonable doubt that has been raised by the defense team.
Look, I think that it's very likely this is the only trial that we are going to get before Election Day. And this case is not a slam dunk, which means that Donald Trump may very well not be convicted. Acquitted is the worst case scenario for Democrats.
Acquitted. Well, so here's a story that does an analysis done by CBS News, so take it with a grain of salt. But it asks the question, well, what if he is convicted in New York? I mean, after all, you got a judge with his thumb on the scale. You've got a very blue jury pool. Who knows what would happen? Even if the facts of the case seem to me that they have not proved it, and many others believe they have not proved it, who knows what this jury will do and how the judge will, tilt the scales of justice in the direction of the prosecution. And so here's what they said. When the judge overseeing Donald Trump's criminal trial found on May 6th that Trump had violated a gag order for a 10th time, he told him, the last thing I want to do is put you in jail. You are the former president of the United States, possibly the next president. Whether to jail the Republican Party's presumptive nominee for president is a choice that Mershon may have to face. If jurors in Trump's hush money case vote to convict him, as I mentioned, closing arguments are underway now. What exactly would happen if the jury finds Trump is guilty is difficult to predict. Trump is being tried in a New York state court where the judges have broad authority to determine when sentences are handed down after convictions and exactly what they will be, according to former Manhattan prosecutors Duncan Levin. This differs from federal court where there's typically a waiting period between a conviction and sentencing. So if the judge has something in mind, he could literally say, I hereby sentence you, boom, and whatever the sentence is. It's much more informally done in state court. I've had the cases where the jury comes back and says guilty, and the judge thanks the jury and excuses them and says, let's sentence the defendant right now. Obviously, everything's a little different about this case than the typical case. Each of the 34 felony falsification of business records charges that Trump is facing carry a sentence of up to 4 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. Norm Eisen, author and attorney, recently analyzed dozens of cases brought by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office in which falsifying business records was the most serious charge at arraignment. He found that roughly 1 in 10 of those cases resulted in a sentence of incarceration. But he also cautioned those prosecutions often involved other charges and noted the dynamics at play in Trump's case make his sentence particularly hard to forecast. So the bottom line is the judge has the authority to do something, but the question is, would he do that? I mean, I think he's got to be understanding how this will look and the reaction that there will be across America politically, since this has all become very much a political trial, if they send Donald Trump to jail even for 1 hour. So we'll see what happens. We're on it this afternoon. We'll be watching out of the corner of our eye while we bring you other things. But trust me, if there are developments in New York, this is the day that we'll stop everything and go to it. And you can count on complete coverage right here on Super Talk. 22 past the hour.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Closing arguments in the Donald Trump hush money trial case, crime here in Tennessee. And we've got an update on the Paul Pelosi attack case. 3:30, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Well, there's Mac Maury. He's got all your stories there for the news. He also does Mac Maury's wacky, weird, wonderful, I don't know, world of sports.
Easy for you to say.
I ran out of W's. I was going to come up with one more, but I couldn't think of one. We're definitely going to lock that title down before long, I promise you. And he'll do that at 5:25. It's where we take a little break and talk about the things that are sports related that are actually, in the news as well. And we'll do that again at 5:25. Chris Webber's back, and we're all back after a couple of days off.
Yep.
Extra day off, 3-day weekend. It's like it's a Tuesday, but it feels like Monday. But we got a short work week, and then we get another weekend. We had a very eventful weather weekend. I mean, there was a lot of thunderstorms, and what we thought for sure. I mean, we were all making plans to be up all night long Sunday night into Monday morning, because we were expecting a really bad round of thunderstorms to come through, and some of these storms had a history of tornadic activity. But it was amazing. I mean, I was sitting there watching it and talking to Dan Mandis by text because we were all planning, to be up all night long because they were really saying it was going to be rough. But it just before it got to Tennessee, the darndest thing, it sort of started to rain out, and it started to become less intense as a storm. We got very lucky there, but boy, the people in Kentucky really got hit hard.
Yeah.
And we had some damage, and a lot of power was out, but nothing like what they experienced up in Kentucky, where at last I saw the governor said 5 people had perished as a result of the weather. So yeah, tough stuff there. But, the good news is that it looks like this week's going to be pretty nice.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to have
drier conditions and lots of sunshine, looks like.
I think we're going to be doing a lot better and weather-wise this week. I'm just looking at my long-range forecast. I mean, sunshine, upper 70s and 80s all the way through. The first chance of rain, next chance of rain is Saturday, 35%. So not a total washout there on Saturday probably. And then, again, it goes right back to being pretty nice. So we got a nice spate of warm weather.
That's good.
This would be a day to go ahead and wash the car.
Yeah, get it done. Yeah.
Get it done because enjoy it. A good clean stretch here.
Yeah.
Before the cicadas pee all over.
That's what I was going to say. You wash it, clean it up, and then the cicadas ruin it.
Yeah, I know the cicadas. Who knew about the cicada rain? It's not a thing. It is a thing. Yeah, and it's not something very pleasant. But anyway, so it looks like we're going to be looking okay.
And we're in a sweet spot too because we're not in the Tennessee classic mid-90s humid. We're in the 80s.
Yeah. No. This is going to be really, really nice. This is good stuff. We'll be watching, of course, what's happening in New York very closely throughout the afternoon. I don't know. It could go to the jury tonight, and the jury says they want to stay up and work and deliberate. Whether the judge grants them that or not is unclear. But generally, when the jury says we want to work, everybody says, okay, we'll let you work. And can you imagine? They got to be ready to be done with this.
Oh, absolutely.
They had several days off since we last heard the jury. Then they finished when both sides rested. They just said, okay, we'll see you after Memorial Day. And so then they come back today after about 5-6 days off.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they are ready to be done with this. And I think when you have a jury that says, yeah, you know what? We want to stay late. I think maybe they feel like a verdict is not far off.
That's what I would think too. Yeah.
That's what I would say. Now, what that verdict is going to be hard to tell. By the way, I forgot to say in the last segment, there is a lot of talk that the Biden White House, that the president will have something to say, maybe from the Oval Office, maybe from the East Room, but something official to camera when there is a verdict. And I don't know why you would want to do that because you've made the case it's not political, but here it is. It's pretty political. 31 minutes now past the hour. Time for the news.
.331, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. 83 degrees, mostly sunny, and as you heard your Farb saying, it's going to be a beautiful weather week. Full weather forecast and a traffic report 5 minutes away. Prosecution's laying out their closing argument in the hush money trial against Donald Trump after the defense's turn this morning. Olivia Rubin outside the courthouse with more.
Joshua Steinglass is sort of walking the jury through all of Todd Blanche's points that he made in his closing argument and trying to rebut them, specifically on Todd Blanche's argument that there was no conspiracy to influence the election here. Steinglass went right to the testimony of David Pecker of the National Enquirer. He called Pecker's testimony devastating, saying that alone shows that there was a conspiracy as he spoke about meeting with Donald Trump in Trump Tower.
Crime in Tennessee. Metro officials looking for 3 suspects who allegedly stole thousands of dollars worth of medications from a Midtown Walgreens. Police say it happened Sunday, May 19th around 4 a.m. when they used a pry bar to break in, then drove off in a white sedan. Anyone with information asked to call Crime Stoppers. And in California, a federal judge in San Francisco has resentenced the man who attacked Paul Pelosi after breaking into the Pelosi home in 2022. Alex Stone with details from California.
David DePape was sentenced a week and a half ago to 30 years in prison for breaking into the Pelosi home and beating Paul Pelosi with a hammer. DePape's team admitting he has QAnon beliefs, but after that sentencing, it was realized that DePape was never asked directly if he wanted to speak at the hearing. So on Tuesday, he had a resentencing hearing. He was again given 30 years in prison, but this time he got to speak and apologized for his attack on Paul Pelosi.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
38 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair and on the air all the way till 7 o'clock tonight. And I don't know, maybe longer if we have something happening with this jury in New York. We'll have to make that call as we get into the show a little bit later. But one thing I want you to know is that we're going to bring you that verdict. If I'm here and it comes down, everything stops and we'll bring you that verdict. Meanwhile, we got to get ready for the Biden trial as well here. I'm talking about Hunter Biden. And this is raising a lot of eyebrows. Joe Biden, the president, the sitting president of the United States, made a surprise, low-key, discreet visit to the Delaware home of Hallie Biden on Sunday, just before she's due to serve as one of the most important witnesses at the trial of Hunter Biden on his charges of allegedly breaking gun laws in the United States. Biden stopped by Hallie's home around 8 p.m. for a brief private talk 8 days before the 54-year-old first son's trial is scheduled to stand beginning June 3rd. That's just a few days away now. Hallie dated Hunter at the time of his alleged gun crimes and is one of a dozen expected witnesses. Now, why in the world? I mean, the White House is pointing out that, well, we are approaching the 4-year anniversary commemoration of Beau Biden's death, and Hallie and Beau were married, of course, and then later Hunter and Hallie started dating after Beau passed away. But she was deeply involved with Beau Biden at the time of the alleged gun crimes, and is expected to be called. Seems inappropriate timing. I mean, you can't tell someone not to go see relatives, and they've got a story here that, they say, well, it's all about, remembering Beau. But I think you have to wonder what kind of conversations were going on there, making sure that that everybody gets their story straight before this trial begins. The president is said to be just completely consumed about the fact that his 54-year-old son might have to do time in prison, and he might. I mean, he's got this gun crime. There is a jail sentencing. There's a possibility of jail time and a penalty, a financial penalty. And then a little bit later in September, he's got to begin the trial on his IRS charges that he did not pay his taxes as he should have back at the time. So this is going to be interesting to watch. But that's happening again. June 3rd is when the gun trial begins, and it's interesting to have the president drop by. I mean, he could have done it any time, but he dropped by just a few days before that trial begins. So CBS and others reporting that it did happen last night. And we hear that Biden may make a speech of some kind or have comments to make if there is a verdict anytime soon in the Trump trial. That's not absolutely confirmed, but wouldn't be surprising. In other Hunter Biden news, a tell-all book from London Roberts, the ex-stripper and mother of Hunter Biden's estranged child, Navy Joan Roberts, is set to hit the shelves in late August. The book, Out of the Shadows, My Life Inside the World of Hunter Biden, dives into the relationship that Roberts had with the son of President Joe Biden and describes the first moment the pair met, according to a description from Skyhorse Publishing. He was sitting there wearing nothing but parrot boxer briefs, organizing his pipes on his Rosemont Seneca desk. I was sitting in Barack Obama's actual chair from the Senate floor. I took another look at Hunter, this kind, intense, and startling transparent man, and thought, this is definitely a guy I want to get to know better. I mean, his pipes, he's organizing, I guess what she's saying is his crack pipes. And she said, well, I want to get to know this guy better. Wow. And that whole book is going to be out there. I mean, that'll be sordid reading for sure. Then there's this other development. It has to do with the ongoing investigation into Biden Inc. This is from thedailymail.com. It is about an 11-page story. I don't have time to get into all of the details of it, but I'll just simply give you sort of the overview. Joe and Hunter Biden used a visit to Sandy Hook Memorial Service to set up secret meeting with a Chinese businessman over a $10 million a year. New emails reveal. It was a deal for $10 million a year. Now, this was in, I think, 2017. Hunter Biden used Joe Biden's appearance at a Sandy Hook Memorial Service to arrange a meeting between his dad and his Chinese business partners. New text messages reveal. The messages come from a new group of documents released by Congress on Wednesday, given to them by IRS agents who investigated the first son. On December 12, 2017, Hunter wrote on the Chinese messaging app WeChat to Liu Yadong, a top executive of Chinese oil giant CEFC, to arrange the meeting with his father. Can we meet you this evening early? My father will be in New York, and he wants me to attend the Sandy Hook Memorial Service with him, and I would like you to meet him, along with my Uncle Jim, and then you and I can talk about whether or not that works for you. Yadong replied, no problem. Please let me know where and when to meet. So there you have that. The text set up a meeting with Joe came months after negotiations about the family's involvement in the deal with the Chinese government-linked company in exchange for $10 million a year. In July of 2017, Hunter sent threatening text to CEFC official Runlong Zhao, demanding he follow through on the $10 million deal and noting his father's involvement. Remember this message? I'm sitting here with my father, who would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Weeks later, Hunter texted CEFC associate Gong Wen Kevin Dong that he wanted a $10 million per annum budget and that the Bidens are the best I know at doing exactly what the CEFC chairman wants from this partnership. At the time, Joe Biden held no government post. He had left the vice presidency the previous year, would not be elected until 2020. But I mean, again, he says, Joe Biden has said time and time again, I don't know anything about my son's business dealings. Now, he has said that repeatedly on the record. I don't know anything about it. Well, here's an indication that indeed he did know and was well aware of this $10 million deal. What do they get for their $10 million? I don't know. Access to Joe Biden and the Biden family name. That's what they were selling. They were selling influence. The new whistleblower documents released on Wednesday also appear to show that in November 2017, Hunter set up a group text conversation on the encrypted messaging app WhatsApp with his father and uncle, who was also a partner in his multi-million-dollar deal with CEFC. Hunter marked one of the contacts in the three-person WhatsApp group as Jim Biden and the other as Dad. But Joe Biden didn't know anything, had no knowledge whatsoever of this whole business dealing. This is, again, very sordid. And people keep asking me what's going on with the investigation into Joe Biden, and did they ever make the connection between Hunter Biden's business and, something that was, like the smoking gun. I think they got a lot of stuff that looks really, really suspicious. If they have the smoking gun, the question is, well, why haven't they come out and talked about it? I think if they've got it, releasing that information and the timing of that is something that now has taken on a political bent, as all things do in an election year. I mean, if they've got something, seems like to me they will bring it out later in the year at a moment when it would most be politically advantageous to do so. So again, we watch that pretty carefully. So weird stuff going on here. First of all, these new documents. By the way, the one thing that these documents continue to show time and time and time and time and time again is that the IRS whistleblowers were absolutely right. And everything that you heard from the other side, has turned out to be, well, there's some real serious questions about whether or not there's any truth on the other side. I don't think there is, because these IRS whistleblowers are backing up what they say with documents. And the documents, they have not stepped beyond what the documents show. Now, have they got it all put together? No, I don't think they do, at least not from anything we can see. But they keep letting this stuff out in dribs and drabs. And again, the strategy of the Oversight Committee as they're doing these investigations seems to be to build up the credibility time and time and time again, of the IRS whistleblowers, so that when something comes down the pike a little bit later, they will have established in a strong way in the minds of many Americans that these whistleblowers were just patriotic Americans trying to do their job, and that they kept getting stopped time and time and time again by people at the Justice Department, at the IRS, at the FBI, et cetera. They were all being told, you can't go there, don't do this, don't do that. They were doing everything they can to hinder the investigation. And again, all of that is backed up pretty reliably by documents that we have gotten from the IRS whistleblowers. So the whistleblowers' reputation here is intact. You can't say the same for Hunter Biden, and you can't say the same for Jim Biden, and you can't say the same for Joe Biden. There are real questions about the things they have said and the assertions that they have made to the American people. And Joe Biden says he wasn't involved and didn't know anything about his son's business dealings. Well, if these documents are right, and we have every reason to believe they are, because they're actually from Hunter Biden's laptop, decrypted from WhatsApp, we know he wrote these. The laptop is real. These documents are real, and it indicates that he was linking his father in, and his father was very aware of all of the business dealings. So, again, we continue to watch that. I think it's really interesting how there has not been much said about this late night visit to Halle Berry. I mean, you have to look really hard to find any stories about it. But how strange is that, huh? 50 minutes now past the hour, 3 o'clock. If you've lived here in Middle Tennessee for a while, you know about Eurofix. They have been in Middle Tennessee, and the place you go for your European car repair now for some 24 years. And they have grown over that time. I don't know about you, but it's fun to watch a hometown business take off. The folks at Eurofix are now proud to announce their newest location in Mount Juliet for Eurofix on Mount Juliet Road, right across from the Dairy Queen. Eurofix can now serve you in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now their newest location in Mount Juliet. It's pretty cool getting to watch a small town mechanic who started in a barn in the backyard of his single wide trailer grow to 5 locations and be responsible for repairing thousands of cars each month. I said thousands. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Call this number, 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Closing arguments at the Donald Trump hush money trial. A deliberation could be near. A tragic story here in the volunteer state. Pope Francis having to issue an apology after being caught on a recording saying a slur that some find offensive in a boat accident here in town over the weekend. Those stories at 4. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
There is movement at the New York courthouse. Trump just left the courtroom. They may be calling it a day, which means they will not go to deliberations while these final arguments have been playing themselves out. So we'll see. We'll try to get a good read on that in a moment. Looking at the markets, Dow Jones Industrial down 216 points today, very much in the red. The S&P was mostly flat, up at 1.33%. And then NASDAQ, wow, 17,000 for the first time. Ended the day up 99 points, ending the day at 17,019. What's driving all this market activity? Let's check in with John Max over at Beacon Capital Management for more on that. Hello, John.
Hey, Brian. Good afternoon. Yeah, the Dow was down, but the NASDAQ hit another high. And I'll tell you, the AI really rally continues. A lot of that has been driven by the darling of, AI, which is NVIDIA, had great earnings last week. That also hit an all-time high today. And then the market later today got a message it didn't necessarily like. The Minneapolis Fed president came out and said that he was in favor of higher rates for longer and actually did not rule out an interest rate hike. And the market never wants to hear that. It's a shortened trading week, obviously, this week with the holiday, but the big report's going to be coming out on Friday, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, the PCE index, and so a lot of the market's attention is going to turn towards that, so it's a really important report to pay attention to.
All right, thank you very much, John. And find out all the things that John Maxon and all the good people over at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement. Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. It is 58 past the hour.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Four o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. 83 degrees, mostly sunny here on Music Row. Traffic and a complete weather forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Prosecution's laying out the closing argument in the hush money trial against Donald Trump, and like the defense this morning, are also focusing on former fixer Michael Cohen's testimony Olivia Rubin outside the courthouse.
The majority so far of Steinglass's closing argument has been focused on Michael Cohen, just like Todd Blanche focused largely on Michael Cohen. And prosecutors are sort of acknowledging, yes, Michael Cohen is a problematic witness. They have said that since the beginning of the case, but they said sort of in jest that we didn't pick him at a witness store. This is Donald Trump's own guy, and you have to weigh if you can find him credible.
A tragic story here in Tennessee. An 18-year-old boy, Matthew Raphael, was charged with criminal homicide after allegedly shooting and killing a recent high school graduate, 18-year-old Lily Basil. It was in Williamson County on May 25th, and Basil received a gunshot wound to the right shoulder. Raphael took Basil to the hospital until EMS told him to stop. They picked her up. She died later at Vanderbilt Medical Center. Raphael says the shooting was unintentional and that he thought that the AR-15 was unloaded. Basil had graduated from Page High School the day before that shooting. There's a ceremony in celebration of her life this Friday at the Rolling Hills Church. Raphael was arrested, has since been released on a $150,000 bond. And Pope Francis apologizing for using a homophobic slur during a meeting behind closed doors. Ines de la Catera gives us more details.
Pope Francis issuing an apology after reports he used a homophobic slur during a closed-door discussion with bishops. Vatican spokesperson Matteo Bruni saying, quote, the Pope never intended to offend or express himself in homophobic terms, and he apologizes to those who felt offended by the use of that term, end quote. Some argue it was an honest mistake. Italian is the Pope's second language. The pontiff has repeatedly said the church is a place for everyone.
And back here in Nashville, a boat capsized and the boat's captain was arrested for boating while under the influence on Memorial Day. The incident occurred just before 9 p.m. on Monday when water patrol officers were dispatched to Old Hickory Beach after multiple calls for help. They arrived to find several people being transported from a capsized boat to a beach access area. The officer spoke with 34-year-old Bryce Braden, who admitted he was operating the vessel when it turned over. The officers reported that Braden smelled of alcohol, had slurred speech, his eyes appeared glassy. Braden admitted to a couple of beers before getting in the boat. After failed field sobriety tests, the officers arrested Braden for boating under the influence. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
7 minutes now past the hour, 4 o'clock, hour number 2 of the drive on this 28th day of May. It's a Tuesday, but it feels like a Monday. But that's all right. Friday will come very quickly because it's a short week. It'll work out for us, so we just hang in there. We're watching very closely the activities outside the courtroom in New York in that echoey hallway. Let's just see if we. This is what it sounds like live, and it's actually stereo feed coming to them. The most exciting thing happening right now is that a television field producer is eating some kind of snack.
Yeah, I've been seeing several of those snack eaters.
Well, when you're in television and you don't get to take a lunch break, you carry food for the producer. Producer always carries some kind of snacky food. But that's because you learned a long time ago, if you don't have something in your back pocket or something in your briefcase, you may get stuck someplace and you may get really, really hungry. And people used to, when I worked at Fox, we'd be stuck on these long stakeouts. They would say, be sure and take some Brian snacks. Or take Brian some Scooby snacks because he's not nice when he's hungry. And it's true. I really am not very nice.
They learned that quickly, didn't they?
I do have a little issue with angry. When I'm hungry, I'm not really delightful to be around. Not like I am most days. But anyway. We're watching it very closely, and when we see something, they're taking a break. Donald Trump left the courtroom a few months ago. Looks like we're going to come back and continue the final arguments of the prosecution. We could see the jury start to deliberate this evening. The jury has requested the opportunity to stay late and work, not wanting to go home at the end of the day. They want to actually go into the deliberation room, the jury room, and begin the deliberations. Now, if I was looking at that, I'd say, well, I wonder if they feel like they might be able to get this thing wrapped up in short order. And what does that really mean? I don't know. You can argue it square and you can argue it round. Okay, so now the television field producers are moving away. They've been told, you're in the way. We have principals moving, so Donald Trump should be returning to the courtroom here any moment now, and we'll see. He is planning to stop at the end of these final arguments before it goes to, or after it goes to the jury, and have a few things to say outside in this echoey hallway. So we're watching that. We'll go to it. Don't miss it. Stay right here, and I promise you, if anything happens, we are poised to jump on it. We'll be on it like a duck on a June bug. I don't know.
Or a cicada.
A cicada. Yeah, I bet ducks love cicadas.
Oh, I bet they do.
I'm just guessing. That's like a giant June bug, isn't it? I think so. All right, let's do a little. In the meantime, let's get rid of that, and let's do a little 2024 update, and bring you up to date on where the elections are. Here we go. I think I think Democrats are beginning to freak out a little bit. Here's a story from Politico, which I think tends to sort of look at things from a leftist standpoint. Democrats in full-blown freak out over Biden. And he talks about an event where you had a governor was in the room and he was asking the big money people to think long and hard about the stakes of the election and to give a lot of money, but then it turns into a thing that about whether or not they are freaked out. The Biden campaign granted anonymity to one advisor to speak freely and stressed that the president's team has never made any indication that the Trump hush money trial would help or hurt him. Instead, the advisor contended that Trump will be forced to defend cutting back abortion rights, attacking democracy, and advancing corporate interests as president. Trump's photo ops and stunts may get under the skin of some very serious D.C. people, he said, but they will do nothing to win over the voters that will decide the election. Biden supporters who remain optimistic say they'd rather be him than Trump before rallying around abortion issues and reproductive right issues, which Representative Kildee, a Michigan Democrat, called a fundamental game changer. More on that in a moment. I mean, Democrats are putting everything on the abortion issue, and they just got a boatload of money to help them do that. I'll explain that in just a moment. But anyway, Democrat critics of the campaign approach, while agreeing that abortion should be a winning issue, said they're challenged when pressed by friends to make a case for why Biden would run. There's still a path to win this, but they don't look like a campaign that's embarking on the right path, said Pete Giangreco, a longtime Democrat strategist who worked on multiple presidential campaigns. If the frame of the race is what was better, the 3.5 years under Biden or 4 years under Trump, we lose that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. That's a Democrat strategist speaking. I'm now seeing Eric Trump, Laura Trump, Don Jr., moving back into. Did you see Donald Trump go in?
Yes, he did go back into the courtroom.
Okay, so they have returned to the courtroom, and the final arguments of the prosecution will now continue. A majority of Democrats, 54%, say you should dump Biden. This from the Washington Examiner. More Democrats than Republicans want President Joe Biden kicked off the ticket. A shocking dismissal of the party chief just months before the election day. 54% of Democrat likely voters would approve of Biden being replaced. A very unlikely possibility, this article says. But with the party's nominating convention set for mid-August, Biden has won his primaries and runaways. There's no alternative in mind other than First Lady Michelle Obama, who's repeatedly vowed not to run. I don't know that I agree with this assessment. The devastating results were delivered by Rasmussen Reports on Tuesday. In the poll shared with Secrets, just 38% of Democrats said they would, excuse me. I apologize. The devastating results were delivered by Rasmussen Reports on Tuesday. In the poll shared with Secrets, this is a column written by Paul Bedard, just 38% of Democrats said they would disapprove of replacing Biden on the ticket, despite growing concerns about his meandering policies and his mental and health failings. By comparison, 43% of Republicans said they would approve of Democrats replacing Biden on the ticket. It was higher among independents. Independents say 50% would like to see him replaced on the ticket. Survey indicated that Democrats understand they are stuck with Biden. When asked how likely it is that Biden would be replaced, 38% said it was likely. 57% said it was not. Just a few numbers about where we are with regard to replace. So, first of all, I don't think Michelle Obama is wants to run. That's been made very clear by her time and time again. She couldn't be more adamant about it, and that syncs up with everything that I know about Michelle Obama, who hated every moment she was in the White House, according to those who knew her. That's all she did was complain about, not wanting to be at the White House. For 8 long years, how would you like to have that dinner conversation every night when you came in for dinner? Biden and Trump are both ratcheting up appeals to black voters. This because Donald Trump is actually taking black voters away from Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden has more black voter support than does Trump, but Trump is making inroads in a big way. Biden doesn't have as much as he did the last time around, and all of that has gone over to Trump. Young black men especially seem be willing to vote for Donald Trump, and it has to do with the economy, and really more than anything else. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump are making overt appeals to black voters in an election cycle where political loyalties are shifting, and the race may be won by a small margin in a handful of battleground states. One measure of the candidates' urgency is the third vitriol. It's in the early vitriol in the campaign advertising, which each accusing the other of racism. The Republican National Committee released a video compilation of remarks by President Biden dating back years that appear racist. The Biden campaign struck back within days, releasing a pair of videos accusing President Donald Trump of being racist. Well, that's not going to go. I mean, I don't think that actually moves the needle at all, one way or the other. The statement likely refuted Janiyah Thomas, black media director for the Trump campaign, said the Biden videos were an attempt to gaslight black voters. The bottom line is black voters are abandoning Biden and moving toward President Trump. The statement referred to a slew of polls over several months showing that President Trump is gaining support among African Americans, especially, as I mentioned, men. Among the recent polls, a series of New York Times, Siena College, and the Philadelphia Inquirer polls show President Trump leading among registered voters in 5 of the 6 battleground states, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Arizona, and Nevada, and President Biden led only in Wisconsin. Same polls show the two candidates in a dead heat among 18 to 29-year-old Hispanic, 18 to 29-year-old and Hispanic voters. President Biden won more than 60% of those votes in those demographics back in 2020. He's losing young people. He's losing Hispanics. He is losing black voters. And it just comes down to the simple equation. They know they were better off under President Trump's policies. We're watching the trial, and here's what we know about the White House's plans once there is a verdict, if there is a verdict tonight. Joe Biden's team is strategizing, according to the nationalpulse.com, how to exploit potential guilty verdicts in Donald Trump's lawfare trials. The 46th president plans to initially address a guilty verdict, if there is one, in a White House setting, not in a campaign setting, and hope that politicizing his office will show his statement isn't political. I don't understand that at all. I mean, I really don't understand why you would do that. I mean, because you have said, oh, this is not political at all. This is not political. No, this is not political. No, in no way is this political. And then you do two things today that make it very political. You send Robert De Niro out there after De Niro has been at the White House. He goes to the cameras outside the courthouse and just becomes completely unhinged about Trump. And then now you have the talk that the White House, if there is a guilty verdict, and there's no guarantee there will be, but if there is one, that they will have something to say from the White House. Insane. The paper sources, this comes from Politico, the paper sources say Biden's team will argue that a conviction shows Trump will demonstrate the extremes to which the former president would go to win again. Again, there's a long history of presidents requesting time of the networks. And the networks, here's the way I would call them: ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, CNN, MSNBC. Those are the major networks. I guess Newsmax now, so maybe there's 6. They would want to have a statement, and they would ask for time to do that. There's no obligation to do that. The networks can say no, and they have said no, if they believe that everything has a political bent to it. And this clearly would have a political bent. So he may have comments to make. I don't think the networks will go wall to wall. Cable news outlets, a different matter. Who knows what they'll do? They'll probably carry it. But that's because they're on 24/7 with news. And the networks, the old traditional 3 networks, are not 4 networks. So there, again, I'm baffled. Why would you do that? But they seem to be willing to try to take this. Also, in political news, in the 2024 election cycle, Michigan is in play, according to RedState.com, and Joe Biden can thank Rashida Tlaib. She's been out there stirring up voter angst among Muslim and Arab voters in Michigan, and there's about 100,000 of them. They live mostly in the Dearborn area, but they're throughout the state. It's the largest concentration of Arab and Muslim voters in the United States is in Dearborn, Michigan. And Trump has been very good at trying to reach out to those people, and Biden is hacking them off because of his positions on Israel. And Rashida Tlaib, who's a Democrat, is right there in the middle of it, stirring the waters. So, again, you look at the Real Clear Politics, and it's close in Michigan. Some polls have him winning it outright. Some polls have it very close. I think it's pretty close. Special legislative session starts in Ohio on Tuesday, that's today, to resolve November ballot access issue for Biden. Why is Governor Mike DeWine doing this? I don't know. He ordered the General Assembly of Ohio to come back into special session to deal with the fact that Joe Biden's name will not be on the November ballot unless there is a change in the law in the state of Ohio, because you can't get on, you have to be, the way it works out, you have to have your nominee on the ballot some 90 days before the election. But the Democrat convention is so much later this time, I think for good reason. They want to leave their options open until very late. but they will not have nominated Joe Biden in time for him to be on the Ohio ballot the way things are now. So, good old Republican governor Mike DeWine says, "Well, we'll get the state legislature together and we'll fix that." He says he would rather deal with it legislatively than have it go to the courts. We'll see what happens. Very quickly, I said that the Democrats are going to make abortion their big issue. That's really the only thing they got. They don't have the economy. They don't have the border. They're wrong on just about everything except they believe they're on the right track with regard to abortion. This is very interesting. Melinda French Gates used to be married to Bill Gates. They ran the Gates Foundation together. Recently, she separated from the Gates Foundation and took a bunch of money with her that she's going to operate her own foundation and run her own donations without input from Bill Gates. She says that she will donate $1 billion. $1 billion to groups supporting women and abortion rights. And that will show up in campaign ads all across the country. 23 past the hour now.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
An Israeli strike on Rafah over the weekend and the latest money news. Those stories 30 minutes after the hour of 4 o'clock right here. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
27 minutes now past the hour. We've been trying to find out more information about those two Jordanians that tried to get into the Marine base at Quantico. And we're just not getting any information, except we now know that they both came into this country illegally. And there have been reports that one of them may have been on the terrorist watch list. But you may be surprised to find out that this kind of thing happens more often than you might imagine. Listen to an interview that Fox News did with Admiral Eric Caudle over the weekend.
Some of them just crossed the border. What's going on?
Well, this thing of our military bases getting penetrated by foreign nationals is happening more and more. This is something we see probably 2 or 3 times a week, where we're stopping these folks at the gate. With a week at least, and this is just Navy alone. Where we're seeing folks try to come in, and usually the cover story is, and I'm a student, I'm here, I'm an enthusiast, I want to see the ships, that type of thing. We have to turn them around, and typically we get NCIS involved with those, and we get biometrics when possible. But yes, there's been an uptick in that.
Do they have passports? Do they have?
A lot of times they have passports.
Papers?
They have papers, yes, but they're in no way, shape, or form authorized to be on our base. And it's really hard for us to tell the underlying motive for these type of cases.
Wow, that's stunning.
It is.
It's got to be a concern.
This is Russian, Chinese. It comes from all these different nations. We're seeing an uptick in it.
2 to 3 times a week, and that's just the Navy. That's because he's a Navy admiral. He knows about the Navy. He doesn't know about the others. So you got to believe if it's happening on Navy bases, it's happening at other bases as well. Alejandro Mayorkas continues to insist there's nothing wrong with what's going on down at the border. Everything. We're doing a great job.
Camila Montoya Galvez spoke to Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who responded to the accusations of the administration encouraging migrants to come to the U.S.
That is false. If we take a look at migration, not just at our southern border, but in context, the level of migration throughout the hemisphere is unprecedented, and throughout the world. It's the greatest level of displacement of migration since World War II. I think there are about 73 million displaced people in the world. The reasons why people leave their countries of origin are those with which we are quite familiar. We have done an extraordinary job to deal with an unprecedented level of migration, Camillo. The reality is that some people do indeed try to game the system. That does not speak to everyone whom we encounter, but there is an element of it, and we deal with it accordingly.
Everything's fine. Nothing to see here. 30 minutes now past the hour.
.4:30, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. 82 degrees and a mostly sunny day here in Nashville. Forecast traffic report just ahead, 5 minutes. Images from the aftermath of the weekend Israeli strike on Rafah that ended with the death of dozens of Palestinians are horrific and heartbreaking, says National Security Spokesman John Kirby. He says the White House is working with Israeli authorities to determine exactly what happened. Karen Travers.
The White House called this a terrible loss of life in Rafah. National Security Spokesman John Kirby.
We have been, I think, very strident in our condemnations about the deaths of innocent civilians. These deaths are not excused from that.
But Kirby did not say the U.S. condemned the actions by the Israelis, and he said there are no policy changes by the administration. He said the Israelis are investigating the incident, and the White House believes that will be very important to prevent future, quote, mishaps.
Now over to the money news. Daria Albinger filling us in from Wall Street.
The Nasdaq starts the week out with a new record, closing up 99 points at an all-time high. The Dow fell 217 and the S&P was flat for the session. T-Mobile is buying U.S. Cellular's wireless business and a number of other assets in a deal that's valued at just under $4.5 billion. It's a move that will further consolidate the wireless industry. Would you sign a no-buy pledge? A lot of people are doing that as they deal with inflation or in some cases with climate worries on their minds. The rules are simple. You stop buying non-essential items, those impulse buys, for a set amount of time. Usually it's for a year. A Reddit group where people share their no-buy pledge experiences now has more than 50,000 members. Melinda French Gates will donate $1 billion over the next 2 years to causes on behalf of women and families, including groups here in the U.S. that are focused on reproductive rights.
And that is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Let me tell you about the folks over at Restoration Wellness and Med Spa over in Wilson County and right up there in Lebanon. It's a great place. I go there. They work with me. They work with Cabana Wife. And boy, I'm telling you, the weight loss program there is getting it done. Summer's right around the corner. You want to be ready for that, right? You want to look good in your swimsuit. You're going to be going to the pool. You'll be going to the beach. You want to look good in your shorts. Well, just give them a call at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation. Now, my friends Carly and Jamie, by the way, really lovely people. They're going to take good care of you just like you're part of the family. Be a part of the 1,000 patients who've already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program at Restoration Wellness and Med Spa in Lebanon. Weight loss can increase your energy levels, improve your quality of sleep, enhance your overall health. These are customized treatment plans. They don't just take something off the shelf and apply it to everyone, not one size fits all. Restoration Wellness considers your unique needs, your lifestyle, and your goals. So whether your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Take advantage of the newest technology in weight loss management and learn more by going to their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
The children are back. All right. They're not done. Yeah, no, they're done. We're going to move on. Okay. Media Matters lays off at least a dozen staffers amid legal woes. Do you know what Media Matters is? It's this organization. It's funded by Soros, and they attack anybody who they think is not telling the official version as they see it of any major news story. Now, I myself have been the subject of the attacks of Media Matters. I know what it's all about. It got to the point when I was working as a reporter back in the day that I didn't feel like I was doing my job unless Media Matters got upset with me. And usually what they do is they take, somebody who says, okay, it could be this or it could be that, and they'll attack the one that they don't agree with. Instead of actually, trying to show that you're being fair and balanced, which a reporter is supposed to be, you show both sides of something, and they'll quibble with one part of it that they don't agree with. And then they'll write you up and they'll mock you, and then they really come after you. Well, listen to this. They've had to lay off about a dozen staffers or more. A left-wing media watchdog Media Matters, writes justthenews.com, has laid off at least a dozen employees, with some appearing to blame Elon Musk, who has sued the company. Bad news, I've been left off from Media Matters for America, along with a dozen colleagues, one employee wrote on the social media platform X. So they blame Elon Musk, but they use X to complain. Isn't that something? There's a reason far-right billionaires attack Media Matters with armies of lawyers. They know how effective our work is, and it terrifies them. They're getting a dose of their own medicine is what they're getting. After nearly 4 years of working at Media Matters, I got laid off. So if anyone's looking for researchers with video experience, drop a line. In 2023, Media Matters published an article entitled, "As Musk Endorses Anti-Semitic Conspiracy Theory, X has been placing ads for Apple, Bravo, IBM, Oracle, and Xfinity next to this pro-Nazi content." Well, Elon Musk, as you might imagine, took umbrage with that and sued the company for alleging that that X had manipulated the algorithm to create the ad pairings, and went on to omit its methodology to falsely paint the pairings as common and scare off its advertisers. So he filed a lawsuit against them, and now Media Matters for America is having to figure out, how they're going to go forward, because they have to fight a very expensive legal battles, and so that's great day in America as far as I'm concerned. Another version, wokespy.com, Media Matters meltdown far left smear machine starts laying off its staff, and they really are. That's what they are. My, how the worm has turned. Media Matter makes its money by dishonestly targeting conservative commentators to make them appear dangerous and insane. One of their favorites is Daily Wire host Matt Walsh, who jokingly calls himself a theocratic fascist dictator. Media Matters pretends to take his obviously sarcastic and satirical approach seriously. And so, they're saying, isn't it great now that Media Matters is getting a dose of its own medicine? In other woke news, female runners stand silent in protest as a trans runner wins the girls' 400-meter race. This happened on Saturday, the Washington State Championship. Washington State. A group of female runners stood in silence with their hands behind their backs in protest after a transgender teen athlete won the 400-meter dash in the Washington State Championships on Saturday. Trans-identified male athlete Veronica Garcia won the Washington State girls' 400-meter race by over a full second. According to a video posted on X, Garcia had a massive lead throughout the race, posting a final time of 55.75 seconds. Second-place finisher Lauren Matthews, the real winner of the race, came in at 56.75, a second later. Former swimmer and women's rights advocate Riley Gaines posted a video of the second-place finisher receiving thunderous applause, but almost nothing when the trans athlete's name was announced. Watch for the girls on the podium cheer for the rightful state champ when the boy is announced. Stop saying that girls are okay with this. They're clearly not, but the risk of threats they face for even daring to oppose this are real, and my heart breaks for them. Riley Gaines knows of what she speaks. Dateline, Oklahoma, pedophile convicted of abusing 7-year-old stepdaughter quickly becomes trans to appeal the conviction. A trans-identifying biological male convicted pedophile who was found guilty of raping his 7-year-old stepdaughter is appealing the life sentence handed down by the court, claiming the prosecution made improper remarks with the label of abuser. Robert William Perry, age 32, announced the transition shortly before being sentenced to life behind bars and received gender-related concessions from the court. Of course he did. According to Redo, Perry's lawyers argued that the prosecution erred when they used the term abuser and gave too much credence to the victim's testimony. Oh, well, anyway. Again, this is happening more and more. And many judges, especially those that were confirmed under Democrat President Joe Biden, are very much in favor of putting these male criminals who now say, I'm female, in women's prisons, where they put everyone at risk. On Tuesday, South Carolina, this is something I saved over from last week, South Carolina Republican Governor Henry McMaster signed a bill prohibiting healthcare workers from performing so-called gender-affirming care on minors. This encompasses puberty blockers, hormone treatments, and sex reassignment surgeries. In addition, the law requires school principals, teachers, and staff to tell parents when their children want to use a chosen name and preferred pronouns, letting the parents know, keeping the parents in the loop. The law went into effect immediately. According to the New York Times, there are other attempts in recent years to pass this kind of legislation. McMaster shared that he signed the two bills into law. I signed the Help Not Harm bill into law, which protects our state's children from irreversible gender transition procedures and bans public funds from being used for them. I look forward to joining legislators and supporters at a ceremonial bill signing next week. So that'll be this week. Harvard Corporation overrules faculty. The seniors who were involved in the encampment will not graduate, some of them. Harvard Corporation, the centuries-old body that is the ultimate authority at Harvard University, overruled a vote by the faculty and infirmed a decision by the administrative board to prevent 13 encampment activists from graduating. Breitbart News reported the encampment disrupted campus life for nearly 3 weeks, staging protests in the middle of the final exam period. Jewish students said they felt unsafe, especially given the use of anti-Semitic militant slogans. The 13 seniors had violated university policies and the participation of the encampment. A good number of them didn't go to the university, but those that did have found themselves in trouble with the Harvard Corporation. After the administrative board determined they should not be allowed to graduate, the faculty held a vote in which the overwhelming majority rejected the punishments and said the students should be reinstated. On Thursday, pro-Palestinian students walked out of Harvard's graduation or commencement ceremony in protest. Harvard's former president, Claudine Gay, resigned earlier this year, partly due to her mismanagement of the anti-Semitic protest on the campus. So there is that. We often talk about, how the Biden administration wants to do a lot with electric vehicles. It's part of their whole woke Green New Deal stuff, right? Listen to this. A recent study from the University of Michigan has shed light on a critical challenge facing the global transition to electric vehicles: the inability of copper mining to keep pace with the growing demand. Engineering Technology reports that copper, a crucial component in electricity generation, distribution, and storage, is fundamental to the successful implementation of policies aimed at promoting the adoption of EVs. However, a recent study from the University of Michigan titled Copper Mining and Vehicle Electrification has revealed that the current rate of copper production is insufficient to meet the projected demand for the metal in the coming years. Oh, well, it's going to be a little hard to build that 8th charger that the Biden administration, they've made 7 so far. They put billions of dollars into it, about $1 billion per 7 that they've built. You're going to have a little trouble meeting their stated goal of hundreds of those things if they can't get enough copper to make the chargers. It's not only the copper in the chargers. In fact, some people are reporting that the copper is so valuable in these chargers that criminals are tearing them apart to take the copper from them and then selling it. So a lot of people get there ready to plug in their EV, and they find that it doesn't work because somebody has stripped the machine of all the copper. Wow. And then finally, in our Woke World segment, Illinois Democrats, well, this is the same old thing. If you want to control the debate, you try to control the language. Illinois Democrats look to change the term offender, and you'll never believe what they're replacing it with. Scientist Steven Pinker calls it the euphemism treadmill, that whenever a term for something, a kind of person, a phenomenon gets to a certain age, people itch to replace it with something they think is nicer. What that means is that people want to wash away any negative or unflattering connotations of a current term and replace it with a new one. Well, that's exactly what the Illinois legislature is doing in its official new term for offender criminal. They're taking the word criminal out, replacing it with offender. He's not a criminal. He's an offender. As Pinker put it, people invent new polite terms to refer to emotionally laden or distasteful things. I mean, look, I'll give you a perfect example. There are people who get in real trouble for saying that the people who come to this country who are not following the law without doing the following steps, go through the process like you're supposed to, and make an application. They're just coming across the border. They are breaking the law, and therefore their activities, you could say, are illegal. And what do we call people who are not of this country, but they're in this country? We call them alien residents, or illegal alien residents is what we have. And they don't like the idea of using the term aliens. They don't like using the term illegal, but those are both very accurate descriptions. In fact, the term alien is actually written into the law with regard to our border policies. Anybody who is not of this country, who comes across this country, is considered an alien. And if they come across illegally, they are then indeed an illegal alien. But you can't say that, not in Biden's world. Well, here's another one. We're no longer going to call criminals criminals. We're going to call them offenders. They're just offenders. I'm offended by this. Boy, am I offended. 51 past the hour now. Are your retirement assets structured to minimize taxes? Hard to believe, but many hardworking Americans like you could be overpaying on taxes in retirement. You may be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, or any other tax-deferred retirement accounts. Beacon Capital Management is here to give you peace of mind. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defund your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. No cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait any longer to schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis at Beacon. Here's what you do. You just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. That's askbeaconnow.com. You want to give them a call? Here's the number. I'll give it to you twice. 615-488-9303. Again, that's 615-488-9303.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Could be a late night in the Donald Trump hush money trial. One gas station's gas not getting people far here in Tennessee. Medication stolen from a local Walgreens and loneliness now being looked at by your doctor. Those stories and more, 5 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You looking at me? I said, are you looking at me? Robert De Niro shows up outside the courthouse in New York, and he's completely unhinged. We're watching developments in New York where we could go to the jury anytime now. Stay right where you are. We'll bring you the very latest coming up after the news. It's 58 minutes past the hour.
Five o'clock, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. 81 degrees, traffic, complete weather forecast 5 minutes away. Starting with the Donald Trump hush money trial, Derek Dennis fills us in as jurors still deliberating.
Determined to finish closing arguments today, the judge in former President Trump's New York City hush money trial has scheduled an early evening break in the next few minutes, but then continuing the prosecution's closing after that. A late night could be on tap as Assistant DA Josh Steinglass takes more than 4 hours and counting to make the argument that Trump falsified business records to pay off porn star Stormy Daniels to cover up an alleged affair between the two.
The majority so far of Steinglass's closing argument has been focused on Michael Cohen, just like Todd Blanche focused largely on Michael Cohen. And prosecutors are sort of acknowledging, yes, Michael Cohen is a problematic witness. They have said that since the beginning of the case, but they said sort of in jest that we didn't pick him at a witness store. This is Donald Trump's own guy, and you have to weigh if you can find him credible.
Here in Tennessee, gas issues. Marissa Sulik from Channel 4 tells us there are people that went to a specific gas station in Tennessee saying that their gas caused issues to their vehicles.
People posted on Facebook saying they got gas from this gas station off Porter Road over the weekend. And when they left, they didn't get far. This is what one customer said was in his gas tank when he got home. That top layer you see is gasoline. We spoke with an employee with the Tennessee Department of Agriculture today at the gas station Intra Incorporated. He took samples of the unleaded gas, which is currently not being sold until they get answers. The employee told us while many customers think this bottom layer is water, it's not. But he's looking into what it could be.
And a spokesperson from Casey sent out a statement saying that recent weather impacted a fuel tank at the store. Crime here in Tennessee. Metro officials looking for 3 suspects who allegedly stole thousands of dollars worth of medications from a Midtown Walgreens. Police say it happened on Sunday, May 19th around 4 a.m. when they used a pry bar to break in and then drove off in a white sedan. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers. And we got a new report. They're calling on doctors to screen patients for signs of loneliness. Jay O'Brien explains why.
The U.S. Surgeon General declared an epidemic of loneliness nationwide in 2023. Even some research suggested that loneliness was equivalent to smoking something like 15 cigarettes a day in terms of causes for early death. Now, a new report published in the American Academy of Family Physicians is calling on doctors to ask their patients about whether or not they feel socially isolated in an effort to recognize loneliness as a medical issue. It calls for doctors and other healthcare staff to be trained to recognize the signs of loneliness.
And that is the latest news, traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. We're beginning the third hour of the drive, and we are watching what's going on in New York at that courtroom where Donald Trump And his lawyers have been making their final arguments to the jury, the prosecution making their final arguments to the jury, now in excess of 4 hours for their part of it. And it seems now an open question about whether the jury will begin deliberations tonight. They had said to the judge earlier that they wanted to work late, but now there's some question about how late this thing is going. But one thing we can tell you is that when this thing breaks for the evening, and it could happen, remember, it's 6:08 in New York City right now. It's 5:08 here, Middle Tennessee. So they could be breaking for the evening, and we're expecting that Donald Trump will come to the microphones in that echoey hallway and have some final things to say as the case is preparing to go to the jury. Now, we'll break in with whatever we're doing. We'll stop it because it's very important to hear what the former president has to say at this particular time. So you bear with us. We're watching it very closely. I think it could happen at any moment. In the meantime, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that happened in New York today. It's like a circus outside the courtroom. There are protesters kept about a block away. There are probably 1,000 New York City police officers who are down there trying to keep things under control. And believe it or not, even though that the Biden administration and the Biden campaign has maintained from day one, this isn't a political trial at all. This is not about politics. This is about Donald Trump and these business records, blah, 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 blah. That's not about politics. It's not, we've been saying that it's lawfare, which is like warfare using the law. And I think that it is. But they steadfastly said, no, that's not the case. Yet, today, the Biden campaign called a press conference outside the courthouse, and there they asked Robert De Niro, the actor, to come and say a few words. Now, Robert De Niro is very much in the Biden camp. He's been at the White House recently. He's appeared with Biden and in some of these videos that they've released over on the Democrat side. So he's definitely a political player here. And he's, there's an old saying that that actors are really, that they basically are empty vessels into which writers put words, that they have no original thoughts of their own, but they are just vessels that carry the words of others. Well, when he doesn't have a script and it's just him talking, he's a little unhinged. He's a little out there. And today he made some of the most outrageous statements that I think I've heard yet.
Under Trump, this kind of government will perish.
The government will perish if Trump is the president, is what they're saying. It didn't perish the first time. It's still here, best I can tell. Oh, but wait, it gets better.
From the earth. I don't mean to scare you.
Yeah, you do.
No, wait. Maybe I do mean to scare you.
See, I told you.
If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms goodbye.
Our freedoms will be gone. All our freedoms will be gone. Really?
That we all take for granted. And elections, forget about it.
There'll be no more elections. Forget about elections. Just forget about them. We're not going to have any more elections if Trump becomes president.
And elections, forget about it. That's over. That's done. If he gets in, I can tell you right now.
He knows.
He will never leave.
He's not going to leave the White House when his term is up. He's going to be there forever.
He will never leave.
Never leave.
You know that. He will never leave. Under Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth.
There you go, Robert De Niro, sounding a little unhinged. I mean, he's been president before. He didn't necessarily agree with the outcome of the last election, but guess what? He left office. He didn't try to stay. So I don't know where De Niro gets this. And it just seems a little radically unhinged, even for him. But again, and there were times when he was easily distracted by the protesters down the street who were calling him all kinds of names, including they said he was a pedophile. So maybe it was a little distracting to him, but one way or the other, again, remarkable to me that in a trial that the Democrats have insisted is not political, the political campaign of Joe Biden holds a press conference and brings out Robert De Niro as their spokesman. By the way, there is word that if there is a guilty verdict, that the president of the United States will address the nation in some form from the Oval Office or from the White House. Unbelievable. But it's not political at all. It's not political at all. Donald Trump, earlier today, and again, we're watching. If he comes out in the next few minutes, we will go to that. But here's what he said earlier today. He said it's a very dark day in America.
Donald Trump did nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. This is everybody saying it. Except we have a judge who's corrupt. We have a judge who's conflicted. You know what the conflict is, so do I, but I can't say it because I'm under a gag order, which is another unconstitutional thing. You ever hear of a president, leading candidate, leading Biden, leading everybody, and have a gag order? I'm not allowed to speak. It's a first. No president has not been allowed to speak. But this is it. Read the cover today of the New York Post. Read all the stories in the New York Post. Everybody says this is crazy. This is not the trial that should happen. It's a very sad day. This is a dark day in America. We have a rigged court case that should have never been brought. And it should have been brought in another jurisdiction. As you know, we asked for that, and the judge never allows us anything. So thank you all very much. We'll see how it goes. This is a very dangerous day for America. It's a very sad day. Thank you. Are you worried about it?
And with that, he left. Again, we're expecting he'll come out and have something to say to cameras, and we will take that when it happens in New York. Again, we expect they're probably going to take a break. It's just not clear whether they will go to deliberations tonight or not. Earlier, it looked like they would. Now, it seems to be an open question. Eric Trump went out in front of the courthouse, and you know, we've heard from Don Jr. a lot. We heard from him last hour or a couple hours ago, but it seemed that Eric Trump was really wound up. I mean, he had a lot that he wanted to get off his chest. Probably the most passionate I've heard Eric Trump ever speak.
So I sit here today as a son. Forget about politics for a second. I've been in that courthouse with my father almost every single day, and not a single New Yorker, as they look at murders in the streets, women getting thrown in front of trains, kids getting shot in Times Square, the degradation of this city. Not a single New Yorker believes that over $130,000 payment from 9 years ago, from 8 years ago, that the entire DA's office is lining that courtroom. They're sitting there, they're laughing, they're giggling. This was their moment. This is how they embarrassed Donald Trump. This is legal lawfare. All while this state absolutely melts. Everybody that sits here right now, every single one of you, knows that this is not the same state that we knew 10 years ago. Knew it was not the same state as we saw 5 years ago. You have total degradation of New York State because the only thing that Alvin Bragg wants to do, only thing that Letitia James wants to do is criminally prosecute Donald Trump. And they're doing it for one reason. They're doing it because they have a political vendetta. They're all funded by George Soros. That's what this is. This is political lawfare, and it absolutely has to stop. And I watch a man, he's the toughest man I've ever seen, and he endures this nonsense every single day. He sits in that seat, and that's not comfortable. He's never done a damn thing wrong. They tried to impeach him in D.C. They tried to impeach him a second time. They went after his Supreme Court justices. They turned the DOJ, they turned the FBI against him. They couldn't stop him. When that didn't work, guess what they did? They went after his family. They went after me. 110 subpoenas later that I've received. I've never gotten so much as a parking ticket. 110 subpoenas. They went after Don. They went after Laura. They went after little Barron Trump as a young kid, as a young teenager. They went after Tiffany Trump. They tried to make his life hell. And then they weaponized every single DA. They weaponized every AG in every far left area because Biden is incompetent and he's losing in all the polls. Across the board, he's losing in every quantifiable metric. Our country is going to hell. And this is their answer. Go after him for $130,000. And I want to say sorry to the jury that's in there. This has been the greatest colossal waste of time. I want to say thank you to the NYPD. You have thousands of officers down here. Thousands of officers down here that could be protecting our streets. Instead, they're guarding this courthouse against a sham trial. This has cost New York millions and millions and millions of dollars. And New York deserves so much better than this. And I cannot wait for the day that we win. We will. We're right. The entire country knows that this is nonsense. They don't buy it. A poll just came out from the New York Times. Even Democrats, the vast majority of Democrats, know that this case is a sham, and I think we're going to prevail. And I'm just proud of the toughest person I've ever met in my entire life for having the backbone and fortitude to go through this whole mess, as uncomfortable as it's been. And I'm proud to have stood there every single second by his side in that freezing cold courtroom against unthinkable odds and a corrupt judge and people making a lot of money and this political witch hunt. He's an inspiration to me every single day, and he'll be vindicated.
He'll be vindicated. Well, that's Eric Trump wound up in a way I've never heard him wound up before. Had a lot to get off his chest there. So the question, if there is a conviction, now I don't think they've made their case, and most legal analysts that I respect do not believe they made their case. But this is a trial with the judge who has his thumb heavily on the scale in favor of the prosecution. That's been proven time and time and time again by his rulings from the bench, which I wish the American people could see. I really do. But if he is convicted, what would happen? Could he go to prison? Yeah, he could. Here's a story from Politico which weighs all of that. Merchan, like all judges, will be weighing whether to impose a prison sentence. How that would weigh on a variety of factors beyond the guilty verdict. Has the offender committed any crimes before? No. Has he expressed remorse? No. Is he a danger to the community? No. Would his incarceration discourage others from committing the same crime? These are some of the things that he will consider. He has, of course, none of the first three, no convictions. He's been held in contempt a couple of times during the trial. Given that he's famous for never saying sorry, even he won't be doing that, it seems unlikely. So, as deterrence, Merchan may conclude it's unlikely that future presidential candidates will face the temptation to secretly route six-figure payments to porn stars. Well, I think you may be right. Former Manhattan Assistant District Attorney Stuart Meissner said he thinks prison time is more likely than not. I think knowing most judges in New York, they're going to want to show that no one is above the law, and therefore he would likely sentence him to a term of incarceration. I don't think much, but it would be included just to show the point. I mean, what if he just said, 24 hours in jail? That may be, he could do something like that. Other criminal defense lawyers disagree. Judge Merchan is not known, from what I know of his reputation, as a draconian sentencer, says Peter Tillum, a defense lawyer and former assistant district attorney. He's not known to be the toughest sentencer in the building. I don't think he would start with this particular case. But when you're talking about the case and Donald Trump in general, all the rules are out the window, so there's no guarantees. All right, so there you have some thoughts about that. I need to get a couple other things that are going on right here with regard to all this. And here we go. This is there's the other trial, the documents case. A judge has denied the special prosecutor Smith, Jack Smith, a request for a gag order against Trump in a classified documents case. Cannon said that the Smith request was wholly lacking in substance and professional courtesy. Cannon warned Smith that failure to comply with the requirements she has outlined for non-emergency motions could result in sanctions. Trump is already under a gag order in another criminal trial, the ongoing one in Manhattan courtroom, and Jack Smith wanted a similar gag order placed on Trump in the documents case. The judge is having none of it. Federal Judge Eileen Cannon is saying no, and not only no, but if you come with me some of this silly stuff again, I will sanction you for your activities and wasting the court's time, basically. Former president faces allegations that he illegally retained defense information. Of course, so did Biden, but they decided not to bring any charges against him. Why? Because we come across as a doddering old man with a poor memory. So there is a good ruling there. This judge is a Trump appointee in the documents case, and she is not letting the prosecutor run roughshod over the case as Judge Merchan has done in New York. And then finally, well, I think we'll have to save this for a little bit later. It is 22 minutes now past the hour. Again, we're watching what's happening in New York, and we will go to Donald Trump as soon as he comes to the microphones, no matter what we're doing. 22 past the hour. Spring season is upon us. Now is the time that, you need to think about, doing some things around the house. If you need some appliances, if you need furniture, if you need a mower, if you need anything for your home, where are you going to go? You're going to go to DT McCall's. They've been around for 100 years in Middle Tennessee, a Tennessee-based company that's been around 100 years. Why? Well, they have a reputation for treating people right. If you don't treat people right, you don't make it more than a century. That's just the way it works. 5 convenient locations. So what do you need? You need furniture. You need appliances. You need a mower. Oh, I love my Cub Cadet zero-turn mower that I got at DT McCall's. That thing is the beast, and I'm telling you, you will love it. They're really, really highly rated and good mowers. What about a safe for your house, a gun safe, or a safe for all the other things that you need to keep safe? You can get that at DT McCall's as well. So listen, you need to check out their 5 convenient locations. Have you been to one? Have you been to one of their locations? If you haven't, you're going to need to go by, because I'm telling you, some of these places are downright cavernous. You're just not going to believe all the stuff that they have there. They don't charge extra for your delivery. They don't charge extra for your setup. They don't charge extra for your haul away. They are honest with you. Find out about all the things that they can do for your home and the things that you can do to improve your home by going to their website, dtmccalls.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
They're staying late in the New York jury in the Donald Trump's criminal trial. That is, crime at Vanderbilt University Medical Center and a military aircraft went down in Albuquerque today. 5:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat.
It's time for Mac Maury's wide, weird, wacky, wonderful world of sports. And now, here without further ado, the man who really gets excited when he starts talking about arcane sports statistics. You love him, you know him, you can't live without him. Here's Mac Maury, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah. Gets me going. Gets my blood pumping.
sports statistics.
That's it. And today we've got a mashup of a farrago of sports stories, if you will.
Let me just say one thing before you start, because I want to give you a good run here. But we are watching the courtroom in New York, and Mac, I know you would understand. We will go if Donald Trump has things to say straight to New York.
Yes,
okay,
of course.
All right, but in the meantime, let's talk. What do you got? What's on your mind?
Well, you missed
what do you got for us?
You missed my vernacular. I dig deep in the lexicon there. I didn't know if you heard it.
I'm sorry. Try it again.
I've got a farrago of sports stories today. What do you think about that? Farrago?
Farrago. You made that word up.
No, I did not. That is a confused mixture.
Confused. An amalgam.
Yes, a cavalcade.
Cornucopia.
Yes.
Do we need to get the squish thing in so you can squish these together? Because we got that ready to go.
Well, they all are sports related, so hopefully they'll.
They kind of go together. We'll see how many we can get to. Just a couple minutes here, but NHL, we've got Game 4 of Rangers Panthers tonight. 2 of the 3 of those games have gone into overtime. 3 of the 6 conference finals NHL games in total have gone to overtime.
Nice.
So it's been tightly contested games. You've only got 2 games so far in the whole conference. For 3 games so far in the conference finals that have been more than 1 goal separation. The other 3 overtime matchups. So should be fun. Rangers right now trying to battle, trying to keep their lead. They're up 2-1 right now. Panthers at home there in Florida. Tomorrow we'll see Game 4 of the Stars and the Oilers. The Dallas Stars leading Edmonton right there 2-1. So both series right now 2-1. New York and Dallas could be the finals in the NHL. And then tonight, Game 4, we could have 2 sweeps in the NBA Conference Finals. Celtics got their sweep done yesterday against Indiana. Tonight, it will be Dallas trying to get their sweep against Minnesota. Crazy there, Minnesota beating the defending champions in Denver. And then Dallas just says, well, we don't care. We're going to beat you, and they might get the sweep. So we'll see if the Brooms come out double time in the NBA. And then in baseball, a little squish there. Thank you. Yes, thank you. We've got Negro League statistics to officially be integrated into MLB historical records, which I think is great.
Yeah.
So that's 1920 to 1948. All of those now will go into the overall MLB database. Honestly, probably a long time coming. So that's good. So that'll be all of those included. And I mean, MLB, that is a data driven sport. So I think it's important that those are included. And then last one here, really quick, back to the NBA.
Well, you did that's pretty good. You did that well.
Thank you. Bronny James. You know his last name. You kind of know his first one. That's LeBron's son.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone is talking about him, but he's really, I don't think he's that good. He averaged
What do
less
you mean he's not that good?
I know, it's crazy. He averaged less than 5 points per game this year at USC. Didn't play a lot of the games. He was on the bench. And people.
That's a shame.
It's too bad. Yeah, everyone for the last few years. I've heard he's 6'4". He goes into the NBA Combine. He's 6'1". Yeah, there's a big difference. So he declined. Over 10 teams invited him to work out. He declined all but 2 of them, the Lakers and the Suns. He's going to go work out for them. I don't know why if you're in this situation that you're declining workouts.
For real.
But then again, you've got the sports public just wasting their money. Around a third of the bets for the number 1 overall pick are on Bronny James, and there is a total 0% chance of that ever happening. We'll see if he's picked at all. So there you go. There's your sports news.
All right, so it's time for the news. And again, we're watching the courtroom, but we'll go to the news now. But understand that we'll be going to New York the moment Donald Trump comes out of that courtroom. It's 31 past the hour.
.531, Mac Maury with your top stories. Got traffic and weather on the way in 5 minutes. Currently 81 degrees on Music Row. They're staying late. The New York jury in Donald Trump's criminal trial related to hush money payments made to a porn star before the 2016 election. They heard closing arguments today. Well, Catherine Falders has the details from what Mr. Trump's defense attorney argued earlier today.
He said, this isn't a crime. This is normal. It happens all the time, he said. And he referred to people like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Rahm Emanuel having similar relationships with AMI. So that at least is what the Trump defense is trying to do. Now, in the beginning of the prosecution's closing statements, they, of course, wanted to rebut all that and said, no, this is not normal. This was a crime to cover up something so it wouldn't hurt Trump in the election.
And again, former President Trump expected to speak to the press as he walks out of that courtroom. We'll carry that live right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A military aircraft has gone down in Albuquerque. Alex Stone has the developing details.
The military aircraft went down not far from the Albuquerque airport. All that remains of the plane is black charred wreckage where it went into a hillside. The pilot was reportedly able to eject before impact. Albuquerque Fire Lieutenant Jason Fair saying,
Pilot was able to escape and was transported to the hospital. Fire has been extinguished.
2 civilians were checked out by medics. The military will handle the investigation.
And that is the latest news. Weather and traffic next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
37 minutes now past the hour. All eyes watching the hallway, that echoey hallway just outside the courtroom in New York, where the Trump trial is underway. The prosecution is wrapping up, we would think, very soon, its final arguments to the jury. And then, they should then, give the charges to the jury. And there's some talk that they may begin deliberations tonight. The Associated Press wrote about that. They said, look, it's really unusual. They do have a night court in New York, but this court is not nearly known for going beyond about 7 or in extreme situations, 8 o'clock. But the jury had requested that they go and they begin deliberations tonight. I don't know what that signifies, but some believe that the jury may feel that they won't take a lot of time to get this verdict, and it may be by working late tonight they can get a verdict in relatively short order. How that all plays out, I don't know. The judge hasn't absolutely said yes, but he's talking to the security folks there at the court to see what could be possible, this according to the Associated Press. One way or the other, when the jury, when they get finished with these arguments, there will be a break, and one would expect that Donald Trump will be coming to the microphones outside the courtroom in that echoey hallway, and we will go to that no matter what we're doing, commercial break, no matter what it is, until, if it's between now and 7 o'clock, we will break in and go straight to it. Okay, so there's that. Stay tuned. He's going to have a few things to say, I would imagine. In the meantime, I want to spend some time talking about some national security concerns. You know that I have had great interest in, and we've not been getting any answers. I mean, really high-ranking people have been asking questions and getting sort of not many answers from the Biden administration about this incident involving 2 Jordanians illegally in this country who were trying to get into the Quantico Marine Base recently. They had a box truck, and they tried to get in, and when they were told they could not get in, that they needed additional screening to pull over to the side by the Marines there at the front gate. They tried to go on through anyway and were stopped by the barricades that they have that they pop up out of the ground. So they didn't get in. But since then, the 2 individuals have been taken into custody, and we can't get anything else about them. We hear 2 things. Number one, that they both came across the border illegally not long ago, and number 2, that one of them may well be on the terrorist watch list. That's a question mark. Some people have said he is on the terrorist watch list. Others have said he might be, but there's no 1,000% sure of that point. One way or the other, they were very concerned about why they were trying to get in. These folks came across the southern border. Now, Governor Glenn Youngkin of Virginia is demanding answers, according to WTOP radio, from President Joe Biden after 2 Jordanian nationals attempted to breach the gates. This happened May 3rd. 2 men in a box truck stopped at the Fuller Road gate by military police. When asked, the operator of the truck informed officers they were working for Amazon, indirectly for a company subcontracted by Amazon, and were making a delivery to the U.S. Post Office in the downtown of Quantico, as according to Marine Corps Captain Michael R. Curtis. Now, Amazon has not claimed them and says they don't know anything about it, due to the occupants of the vehicle having no affiliation to the Marine Corps base Quantico, no approved credentials to access the installation. The military police officers directed the vehicle to a holding area where they conducted standard vetting procedures. One of the military police officers then noticed the driver ignoring the direct instruction of the officers. He continued to move the vehicle past the holding area and attempted to get on the base, but they shut him down. Okay, so that's what we know. Now, the governor is trying to get the same answers that we all want to know, and he's not getting any answers. In a letter to the Biden administration, Youngkin said he was deeply concerned about the lack of details surrounding the incident and the 2 men involved. This breach was first reported by Potomac Local News. Now, you may say, okay, well, that's weird. Apparently not as uncommon as you might imagine. According to Admiral Eric Caudle, who was on Fox News, it's Fleet Week in New York, and he's making an appearance on Fox News this weekend. And the questions start to be asked about, well, how often does this kind of thing happen? Well, Eric Caudle's an admiral. He knows about things at the Navy. And he says more than you might imagine, 2 or 3 a week.
Chechens, Jordanians, some of them just crossed the border. What's going on?
Well, this thing of our military bases getting penetrated by foreign nationals is happening more and more. This is something we see probably 2 or 3 times a week, where we're stopping these folks at the gate with a week at least. And this is just Navy alone. Where we're seeing folks try to come in, and usually the cover story is, and I'm a student, I'm here, I'm an enthusiast, I want to see the ships, that type of thing. We have to turn them around, and typically we get NCIS involved with those, and we get biometrics when possible. But yes, there's been an uptick in that.
Do they have passports? Do they have?
A lot of times they have passports.
Papers?
They have papers, yes, but they're in no way, shape, or form authorized to be on our base. And it's really hard for us to tell the underlying motive for these type of cases.
Wow, that's stunning.
It is.
It's got to be a concern.
This is Russian, Chinese. It comes from all these different nations. We're seeing an uptick in it.
Wow, an uptick. He says, so this is not something that happens all the time. This is something that has just begun to happen, and it's happening 2 to 3 times a week just on Navy bases. What about Marine bases? What about Army bases? What about Air Force bases? I would imagine if it's happening 2 or 3 times a week on Navy bases, it's probably happening 2 or 3 times a week on Army bases, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, we could be having as many as, 12, 15 attempts to get onto the base by people who should not be on the base. Bigger problem than you might imagine. And we recently told you that the military bases have been having a real problem with drones. Now, we're not talking about UAPs. We're talking about what seem to be, observational drones or special drones that are also incurring into the base airspace, and we don't seem to be able to stop it at all. It got so bad at one air base in Virginia that they moved all the aircraft, the military aircraft, off the base to another base because they couldn't stop the drones. Well, where do you think those are coming from? I have a feeling I know, and some of them are just blatant about it. They just go out there. They don't mind that they're being seen. They're doing regular incursions into military bases all over the country. And I think probably what's going on here is, my theory, it's a theory, we had a lot of people come into this country, about 2 million people who've come into this country we don't know anything about. The gotaways, right? The gotaways. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they came from. We don't know anything about them. But they're in this country, right? And they are now doing everything they can. I think some of these people are basically spies who've been sent from countries that don't like the United States. They want to infiltrate the United States. They want to learn about their military capabilities. The Chinese are notorious for this. The Russians as well. But there are others as well who want to know about our military capabilities. I think they're coming in here, and I think they're responsible for some of this stuff. And again, how many people are showing up these military bases around our country that we don't know anything about? And the Biden administration doesn't want to talk about it because it absolutely confirms what we've been saying. It's just that the border situation is not only a humanitarian crisis, it is a national security crisis because we don't know who these people are, and we don't know where they came from, and we know what their true motives are for coming to America. So big concerns there. On national security matters, here's an issue that's sort of related to national security. A floating pier that we built offshore of Gaza, offshore of the Gaza Strip. The United States military decided they wanted to get a pier built that would float off the coast of Gaza, that our ships would come up and unload humanitarian aid off those ships. And then then the people from the Gaza would send out boats, small boats, to get the humanitarian aid and bring it into Gaza. They started this thing it was completed on May 10th. It cost Americans, taxpayers, you and me, about $320 million. It involved 1,000 U.S. service members, mostly from the Army and Navy. And this $320 million is about double of what they said it would cost when they started the project. It's sinking. It's absolutely not working. It cannot hold up to the severe weather that they've seen. And this is causing concern among some Republican members of the Senate, Senator Roger Wicker and and top Republican on the Democrat-led Senate Armed Services Committee, told the agency that cost had exploded. It was a dangerous effort with marginal benefit that cost us $320 million, twice what they said it was going to cost, and it's sinking. Video posted on social media by the Israeli Defense Forces on Monday, that was yesterday, showed the American pier sinking in the water. It's unclear how much of the structure, which was bobbing up and down in the water. The soldier who shot the videos have heard saying, this is what happens when you help the enemy. It's unclear whether the images were linked to an incident on Saturday in which 4 American vessels connected to the floating pier had to disconnect from the pier due to stormy seas. The one ship was struck on a beach at the southern end of Ashdod, while another sent to extract it also got beached. So we're beaching our military boats and ships in an attempt to try to do something to help the people of Gaza. But this has had a lot of problems. They said last month bad sea and weather conditions had to delay the delivery of components for the construction, and it's been a real problem. So we've got $320 million of your hard-earned taxpayer dollars they went to build a pier that cost twice as much as they said it was going to cost, and it's sinking. It's not working. It was badly designed or something. Again, the Biden administration is sort of everything they touch is just a disaster, isn't it? Amazing, amazing story. In Israel, the Israelis have sent tanks into central Rafah, and they passed the Al-Adwa Mosque, a central Rafah landmark. The Israeli military didn't comment on the specifics of the push into Rafah, but Israeli Army radio said the military had added a brigade to the 5 already operating in the city, and the troops were engaging in close-quarter combat with Hamas. They are trying to thread the needle by pursuing a fight with Hamas in Rafah without damaging its relationship with the U.S. The U.S. doesn't want them in Rafah. An airstrike on Sunday in Rafah, Palestinians claimed killed dozens of civilians and demonstrated the inherent challenges that Israel faces when trying to do warfare against an enemy when the enemy shields itself with civilians. That's what you got going on there. 50 minutes now past the hour, still watching that courtroom in New York. You're listening to Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Let me tell you about the folks over at Busy Bee. You know Busy Bee. If you have problems with your plumbing, if you have problems with your HVAC, they're the number to call, 615-775-7833. They want you to become a member of the Beehive Club. I certainly am. Cost me $99 to get started. 3 annual tune-ups, one aimed at heating, one aimed at cooling, one aimed at plumbing. 10% discount on repairs. Priority front-of-the-line service if you're a member of the Beehive Club. You won't be sitting around waiting. You'll be getting top 9 first-of-the-line service. They will give you $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000. So, you're going to get more in replacement credit than you actually have invested in most cases. No overtime for holiday fees ever, and you'll be made aware of exclusive Beehive member promotions. Now, look, your heating and your cooling systems, if they should go down, and sometimes they do get to need to be replaced, they're not meant to last forever. No interest if paid in full within 15 months with approved credit. Plumbing, you get 18 months, again, with approved credit. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling is your official Rude Pro partner for satisfaction guaranteed. Call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833, online at busybhvac.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It is 59 minutes now past the hour. Let me tell you about the folks over at Grace Point Healthcare. Grace Point Healthcare is the standard for the affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine. You might want to know how that works. Well, as a direct pay provider, you see, your healthcare is delivered without the red tape of an insurer's guidelines. You don't really want your insurance company making these decisions, do you? See, they have this thing called a Smart Care plan, makes it even more affordable. Starts at $69 a month, and for that, you get free office visits and basic labs for the entire year. Grace Point identifies and treats the root causes of a condition, not just the symptoms, utilizing a comprehensive yet functional approach. And by seeing you the same day or the next day, you're treated at your convenience. Grace Point Healthcare is affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. They are located on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868. That's 599-6868 to set up your appointment.
Six o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. 80 degrees in Nashville. A traffic report and a weather forecast in 5 minutes. They're staying late. The New York jury in Donald Trump's criminal trial heard closing arguments from both sides today, and the case could be in their hands as early as tomorrow morning. Michelle Franson.
Jurors are staying later than usual in the hush money trial of Donald Trump as prosecutors continue closing arguments. Earlier, Trump's defense attorneys called former Trump fixer Michael Cohen a liar, claiming he was not directed by Trump to pay Stormy Daniels to hide an alleged affair ahead of the 2016 election. ABC's Olivia Rubin is in Lower Manhattan.
The majority so far of Steinglass's closing argument has been focused on Michael Cohen, just like Todd Blanche focused largely on Michael Cohen. And prosecutors are sort of acknowledging, yes, Michael Cohen is a problematic witness. They have said that since the beginning of the case, but they said sort of in jest that we didn't pick him at a witness store. This is Donald Trump's own guy, and you have to weigh if you can find him credible.
Deliberations could begin as early as tomorrow. Trump is accused of falsifying business records related to campaign finance law.
An F-35 jet has gone down in Albuquerque. Alex Stone.
The military aircraft went down not far from the Albuquerque airport. All that remains of the plane is black charred wreckage where it went into a hillside. The pilot was reportedly able to eject before impact. Albuquerque Fire Lieutenant Jason Fair saying,
Pilot was able to escape and was transported to the hospital. Fire has been extinguished.
2 civilians were checked out by medics. The military will handle the investigation.
Here in Tennessee, some gas issues. Channel 4's Marissa Sulik tells us there are people that went to a specific gas station here in Tennessee saying that their gas caused issues to their vehicles.
People posted on Facebook saying they got gas from this gas station off Porter Road over the weekend. And when they left, they didn't get far. This is what one customer said was in his gas tank when he got home. That top layer you see is gasoline. We spoke with an employee with the Tennessee Department of Agriculture today at the gas station, Intra Incorporated. He took samples of the unleaded gas, which is currently not being sold until they get answers. The employee told us while many customers think this bottom layer is water, it's not. But he's looking into what it could be.
And a spokesperson from Crazy's sent a statement saying recent weather impacted a fuel tank at the store. Staying in Tennessee at Chinatown. Chinatown is on its way to Nashville. It'll sit along I-24 in Antioch. It'll be around 5 acres of land. Chinatown will offer an international supermarket, 10 restaurants, retail offices, and an events center. Up to 500 jobs will become available from this project. The supermarket slated to open by 2025, and the $27.5 million project scheduled for full completion by 2027. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Good evening, everyone. 6:06, almost 6:07 on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock. And then we headed over to Mark Levin, the great one, on this Tuesday. Feels like a Monday, but it's Tuesday, May 28th. Glad you're with us. Let's get you home safely. We are watching that echoey hallway outside the courtroom in New York where Donald Trump is on trial. Let me just bring you up to date. In the last few minutes, they have taken a break. They have now gone back in and resumed. At about, I guess it'd be about 6:30 their time. It's now 7:07 in New York, so about 6:30 their time, about 30 minutes ago, 30 minutes and change. The court, the prosecution is in the middle of their final arguments, looked at the judge and said, hey, look, you want me to stop or should we power through? Because it was getting to be 6:30, a time for a break. After a bench conference, Steinglass returned to the podium and asked jurors, you good to go a little longer? They appeared amenable to that, to which the prosecutor said, okay, and they continued. Then, right about the top of just a few minutes before the top of the hour, a few minutes ago, they came out and took a little break. Trump waved at the cameras, kept going, and said, and then we get this message from inside the courtroom. It is not over. The summation of the prosecution's case, which began around 2 p.m., will continue in a few moments, and Judge Merchan said this will be the last recess of the day. The real question seems to be whether or not they will begin deliberations tonight, as the jury earlier in the day asked the judge if they could go late tonight and continue their deliberations rather than break. We don't know really what that means, but I interpret it to mean that perhaps the jury believes they can come up with a verdict pretty quickly. I don't know. A lot of legal experts say there's 34 counts to go through, and with those 34 counts, it may take them a while. One expert said we may not get a verdict before the week is up. So we don't know what's going to happen. We do know this, that whenever it is done, either the jury goes and begins deliberation or it's done for the day, Donald Trump is supposed to come to that microphone outside the courtroom and talk in that echo, and he's going to have some things to say. Now, we're watching that very closely. I've got it up. Chris has got it up. When that happens, no matter what we're in the middle of, commercial break, no matter what, until 7 o'clock when I leave you, we'll go to that, and we'll hear what he has to say. All right? That's the best we can do for you, so stay tuned. I don't imagine it's going to take them much longer to finish up their arguments. And then that we'll have a better sense of what's going to happen in that particular trial. As I mentioned to you before, I just want to play this one more time because it's just unbelievable. Robert De Niro showed up outside the courtroom today. And after the Biden campaign has insisted that this trial is completely non-political. This is about the law. It's about the law. There's no politics involved in that. They set up a press conference outside the courthouse with Robert De Niro speaking on behalf of the Trump administration, and he was completely unhinged.
Under Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms goodbye that we all take for granted. And elections, forget about it. That's over. That's done. If he gets in, I can tell you right now, he will never leave. He will never leave. You know that. He will never leave.
Really? Because I remember that he got, when the election, he didn't agree with the outcome of the election, but he left. He left. He didn't try to hold out. So I don't know why you would say that. What inside information does the very knowledgeable actor Robert De Niro have that leads him to believe that Trump will never leave? You know that, he says. I mean, he couldn't. He actually put emphasis on all the syllables.
He will never leave.
Okay. And then there is a report, and it's reported first by Politico, that the Biden administration, if there is a conviction, that they tend to hold some kind of event at the White House, and the president, the 46th president, will address the guilty verdict in the White House setting, not a campaign setting, a White House setting. I thought it was not political, but apparently it is. So there you have that. We're watching what's going on there very closely. Joe Biden isn't going to like what the data tells us about the Trump Manhattan trial. If Democrats were hoping to sink former President Donald Trump, writes the National Pulse, with this trial, they're going to be disappointed. A Quinnipiac poll conducted last week reveals that half of voters do not think Trump did anything illegal. Furthermore, a significant majority of voters said that the trial's outcome would make no difference in their decision on Election Day. The poll shows that 29% of voters think Trump did something unethical but not illegal, and another 21% say they think Trump did nothing wrong. Less than half the voters, 46%, believe Trump did something illegal. 46% of the voters think Trump did something illegal, driven largely by Democrats who weren't going to vote for Trump anyway. When broken down by voter registration, 85% of Democrats think Trump broke the law, compared to just 9% of Republicans and 44% of independents. A majority of independents, 53%, do not believe that Trump broke the law. Wow. 53% of independents. See, that tells you everything you need to know. It won't have an impact on this campaign. In fact, I believe if they were to take Trump and to put him in jail, even for 1 hour, just to make sort of a symbolic gesture, if there were a guilty conviction here, I think it would backfire on them big time. I think all of this stuff is backfiring. I think it was stupid to send Robert De Niro down there today. I think it's stupid from a political standpoint for the White House to have anything to say about it at all. You know, at best, a written statement is what is called for there, and not even really should they do that. They should just stay away from it. Let the verdict, if there is one against him, speak for itself. But again, a lot of the people who are real experts here didn't think that the case was made. Here's Jonathan Turley.
Well, the defense, of course, has wrapped up. They took only about 3 hours, which is substantially less than what the government will be using over 4 hours. The government's obviously going to have to respond to the attacks on Michael Cohen. And the defense raised all of the aspects that you would expect. The fact that no one actually tied Donald Trump to making any of these entries. In fact, a key witness said that the entry as a legal expense was due to a rather antiquated drop-down menu that was done by people in the Trump Corporation. But the most glaring aspect of the closing, and we'll see if the prosecution deals with it, is the missing witness. That is, Cohen himself is thoroughly unbelievable. He is a serial perjurer, and most of us believe that he lied repeatedly before this jury. But he kept on referring to Weiselberg, the person who actually agreed to the retainer references and the payment system. Weiselberg is not far from here. He's sitting in a Rikers jail, but the prosecution did not call him. So most of us are assuming Weiselberg was not called because he would not have confirmed what Cohen said. And we'll see what the prosecution does with that.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what the prosecutor is doing. They're still making their case. They started at 2. It is now 7:15 in New York. And this from the courtroom, from the reporter inside the courtroom. The judge has told the prosecution that he faces a hard out by 8 p.m. All-day jurors said they could work until that time, but not later than that. So he said he told the prosecution, maybe your colleagues hand you a note when it's 8 o'clock, and at that point we really need to wrap it up. So the jury is now back in, and Steinglass, the prosecutor who is now making final arguments on behalf of the prosecution, says, thanks for sticking with me, and he settled back in at the podium. So we have basically about 45 minutes left before the judge will call it a day. So it doesn't sound like it's very likely that the jury will go beyond 8 o'clock, which is, again, that'd be 7 o'clock our time, about 43 minutes from now. Okay? So that we probably will not hear, they will not begin deliberations until tomorrow, but we will hear from Donald Trump. And if it happens before 7 o'clock, we'll go to that. Okay, so there we go. Speaking of 2024 news, Democrats are said to be freaked out over Biden. an interesting story in Politico where they're laying out, a lot of things that they say are indications that Democrats are freaking out. He says Biden supporters who remain optimistic say they'd rather be him than Trump before rallying around abortion and issues of reproductive rights, which Representative Dan Kildee, a Democrat from Michigan, called a fundamental game changer. We have to run a campaign where, honestly, we drive home the message that Donald Trump takes us back to the 19th century. Biden takes us further into the 21st century. He did not remark on whether such a campaign is being run or run to his satisfaction. But critics of the campaign's approach, while agreeing that abortion could be a winning issue for Democrats, that's what they believe, that they're challenged when pressed by friends to make the case for why Biden will win. There's still a path to win this, but they don't look like a campaign that's embarking on that path right now, said Pete Giangreco, a longtime Democrat strategist who's worked on multiple presidential campaigns. If the frame of the race is what was better, the 3.5 years under Biden or 4 years under Trump, we lose that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Pardon me? Little tickle in the throat. I apologize. And this, majority of Democrats, 54%, say it's time to dump Biden. When you look at these numbers, you got to wonder why they're sticking with the guy. More Democrats than Republicans want President Joe Biden kicked off the ticket. 54% of Democrats, likely voters, would approve of Biden being replaced, and 54% of Democrats with the party nominating convention set for mid-August. Biden has won his primaries in runaways. They have they say, in this article by the Washington Examiner, no alternative mind other than former First Lady Michelle Obama, who has repeatedly vowed not to run. The devastating results were delivered by Rasmussen Reports last week in a poll shared with the column Secrets, written by Paul Bedard on the Washington Examiner. Just 38% of Democrats say they would disapprove of replacing Biden on the ticket, despite growing concern that his meandering policies and mental and health failings are quite obvious. By comparison, 43% of Republicans said they would approve of Democrats replacing Biden on the ticket. It was higher among independents at 50%. That's right. 50% of independents say they'd be just fine if they replaced him. The survey indicated that Democrats understand they are stuck with Biden. When asked how likely it was Biden would be replaced, 38% said it was likely. 57% said it wasn't. A lack of a good second choice may play a role in depressing Democrats. While Governor Gavin Newsom has been the most talked about alternative, just 8% of Democrats think he would be a better presidential candidate than Biden. For Obama, it was 21%. Michelle Obama. Vice President Kamala Harris was considered a better pick by Biden by 17% of Democrats. She doesn't even have the support among her own party. The top pick was none of them, 31%. When Republicans and independent likely voters are included in the results, 49% said they would approve of Biden being replaced on the ticket. Another 37% disapproved. And as usual, Rasmussen surveys were made up of 35% Democrats, 33% Republicans, and 32% mostly independents. So they're freaking out, and I think they're realizing that their options are limited, and they don't really have a good name to pull out of the hat. Michelle Obama is not going to run. She doesn't want it. She hates the idea. She's made it very clear that she will not accept the nomination, nor will she run. And, the only person who has numbers that would be good has already served as president. I mean, Democrats would, if they could, they would take Barack Obama in a heartbeat, but they can't, of course. Nobody wants Hillary. Nobody wants that disaster again. So they got all kinds of problems, serious problems here. 22 past the hour. The chairman of the Federal Reserve has said that we're on an unsustainable fiscal path. We aren't going to pay off the $34 trillion debt anytime soon. He says we'll just print money to pay the interest on the debt and thus debase the U.S. dollar. They suggest saving with gold or other precious metals is the way to go at Nashville Gold and Coin. Maybe you've thought about adding gold or precious metals to your portfolio, but you feel like, well, I don't really know this stuff. I don't know if I have the knowledge I need to make a smart decision. Honestly, and I mean this, this is the way I felt, but I got the professional guidance I needed at Nashville Gold and Coin. Works this way. You make an appointment. You sit down one-on-one with my friends at Nashville Gold and Coin. They will answer all your questions and help you make the precious metals investment that is right for you. It's friendly. You'll learn a lot, and you will never be subjected to a high-pressure sales pitch. The truth is, gold and silver can be a safe haven in uncertain economic times. And my friends at Nashville Gold and Coin are standing by to answer all your questions about the precious metals market. If you have some old coins laying around gathering dust, just bring them along. You might be surprised how much they're worth. To set up that one-on-one appointment, go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at MembersNutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to MembersNutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to MembersNutrition.com. Once again, MembersNutrition.com.
It is 26 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Watching very carefully what's happening in that courtroom down in New York, or I guess up in New York, over in New York, what you want to go with. It definitely is, wrapping. It's going to wrap up, I think, at some point pretty quickly. They are going to go until 8 o'clock, which is New York time. That's about 34 minutes from now. And it looks like the prosecutors are ripping through their timeline so they can not go beyond 8 o'clock, but it doesn't look like the jury is going to have time to deliberate tonight. They will start tomorrow. We are expecting that Donald Trump will speak when the thing breaks up today in that echoey hallway, and we are prepared to bring that to you if it's before 7 o'clock. After that, it's out of our hands, but we'll try to bring it to you. So, and we think that may be imminent. So just stay with us if you can. So listen, a couple of local stories that I wanted to bring to your attention. First of all, we don't talk often about the polls on Tennessee because, we pretty much know how things are going to go in Tennessee, right? I mean, it's a Republican state. There's little doubt about that. Republicans almost always prevail unless there's, some unusual thing going on. And, the only place where Democrats have a stronghold is in municipal government in our major cities. But the rest of the state is ruby red. And there's been a poll taken about where Marsha Blackburn sits in her reelection effort. She's being challenged by Gloria Johnson. According to a new poll that just came out, Blackburn has 51 to Gloria Johnson's 40. So that's an 11-point lead. That's well beyond the margin of error. That's in keeping with the way most of these, even red states, Ted Cruz in Texas is up by 13. She's up by 11. So that's where we are on that. We do have a little bit of other political news out of Tennessee. Former President Trump reaffirmed his support for 6 members of the Tennessee congressional delegation on Sunday in a series of posts on Truth Social. He offered his support for 5 incumbents representing Tennessee in the House of Representatives: Diana Harshberger, Chuck Fleischman, Scott Desjardins, John Rose, and David Kustoff. Those are all Republicans. Harshberger has served in the House since 2021, was called a tireless advocate for the people of Tennessee. Fleischman, who served in the House since 2011, was recognized for his tireless work on multiple issues. Desjardins, who was like Fleischman, has served in the House since 2011, was applauded by Trump for his terrific job and his work for the military veterans, law enforcement, and protecting the Second Amendment. And then there is, let's see. Trump also recognized Rose, who served in the House since 2019, a tremendous champion for Tennessee's 6th congressional district. John is working hard to secure the border, provide access to affordable health care. So there you have that. Trump also published a post on Sunday reaffirming his support for Tennessee U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn, serving in the Senate since 2019, saying that the senator is doing a terrific job representing the incredible people of Tennessee in the United States Senate. She's been with me from the very beginning, helping advance our America First agenda. So very strong, interesting. Absent from Sunday's post were U.S. Representatives Tim Burchett, who has not been endorsed by the former president, Andy Ogles of Tennessee's 5th Congressional District, Mark Green of Tennessee's 7th Congressional District, who have been endorsed by the former president in the past. But they weren't mentioned on Sunday. I wouldn't read too much into that. I just think that's the way it all came down, and I don't think that those people are being slighted in the least. Well, maybe Burchett. In other news, at least 22 people are said to have been killed by these tornadoes that ripped across the South over the last few days. Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, 22, 5 of them in Kentucky. So a lot of people are saying that, this is one of the worst spate of storms. The good news is that they missed us by and large and did not come to Tennessee. I mean, we had some storms, don't get me wrong, but not like they did in other places. We sort of dodged the bullet and consider ourselves quite fortunate. But tragic, tragic thing with these tornadoes that have struck across the South. It's time for the news at 31 past the hour.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is
You know, there are no pills or spinal creams that can magically open up your spinal disc and take the pressure off your nerves. No, if you have pain in your back, you have really two choices. You can undergo surgery, undergo the knife, or you can undergo non-invasive spinal decompression. Now, I went that route. I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville, and it really helped me. I had problems in my neck and my lower back, and it really made me feel so much better. Their state-of-the-art facilities and their high-tech equipment offer the latest non-surgical procedures. Getting better is important, so Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are offering half-off spinal decompression treatment and half off the KT knee machine, which is sort of like, spinal decompression, but it's really for your knee. And it gently elongates the knee and allows the healing therapy to get deeper in that joint. Now, here's what you get if you're a new patient. You show up, your first patient, your first exam, your consultation, your first treatment is only $23. You've got that on you, and a good way to get started for not much money. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville, so call them today at 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com. "38 minutes now past the hour. We are watching the courtroom down in New York where it looks like the prosecution is wrapping up its final arguments. The defense did so earlier today. Donald Trump is expected to speak, and if he does so between now and the top of the hour, we will bring it to you live from New York. While we're doing that, let's talk a little bit about some border news. Here's one for you. You see this coming, right? Democrat mayors asked Biden to give work permits to millions of illegal immigrants. 41 Democrat mayors and or county officials have written a letter to President Joe Biden asking his administration to grant parole and work permits to millions of illegal immigrants residing in the United States. Our request is rooted in the belief that the extending the dignity of a legal authorization to work for our residents born in Mexico, Guatemala, the Dominican Republic, other countries would be a positive step forward. They noted that roughly 11.3 million American citizens today share a home with an undocumented individual. As such, this issue is critical in certain key electoral states like Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and North Carolina, they wrote. They asked the Department of Homeland Security to leverage its authority to grant parole for long-term and recent illegal immigrants to qualify them for work authorization. Allowing illegal immigrants to legally work in the country would result in higher wages, shield them from workplace exploitation, and enable them to contribute to the economy, they wrote. The letter claimed the legal work done by illegal aliens would bring in an estimated $13.8 billion in tax contributions, citing a Congressional Budget Office prediction. So there you have it. They're making their case. By the way, Mayorkas just thinks that, there's no way in the world that the president's policies are responsible for the problems that we have here. No, it couldn't possibly be Joe Biden's policies. This guy just continues to pump out unmitigated BS. It's just absolute. But here we go.
Camilo Montoya Galvez spoke to Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who responded to the accusations of the administration encouraging migrants to come to the U.S.
That is false. If we take a look at migration, not just at our southern border, but in context, the level of migration throughout the hemisphere is unprecedented, and throughout the world. It's the greatest level of displacement of migration since World War II. I think there are about 73 million displaced people in the world. The reasons why people leave their countries of origin are those with which we are quite familiar. We have done an extraordinary job to deal with an unprecedented level of migration, Camilo. The reality is that some people do indeed try to game the system. That does not speak to everyone whom we encounter, but there is an element of it, and we deal with it accordingly.
All right, so not his fault. It's not the president's fault. Everybody's got this problem, and everything is just ducky. We're doing a great job. Right. Other news. Joe Biden made a surprise nighttime visit to Hunter ex-wife Haley Biden days before she is set to testify in the gun trial of first son Hunter Biden. Now, what's interesting about this is that Haley Biden was dating Hunter Biden after Beau Biden passed away. They dated for a time, and she was certainly involved in all of the craziness surrounding the gun. So the current president of the United States goes over to Hallie's home around 8 p.m. for a private talk just 8 days before her 54-year-old son's trial is scheduled to begin on June 3rd. 8 days. Haley dated Hunter at the time of his alleged gun crimes and is one of the expected witnesses at that trial. Now, why would he do that? Now, the White House will get to say, well, we're coming up on the 4th anniversary or commemoration of Beau Biden's death. It's probably had something to do with that. She was married to Beau Biden, who died in 2015, so it's more than 4 years, obviously, but one way or the other. That's what they're saying it's all about. Oh, he just went by, to commiserate and remember Beau, and I think they went over there to get their story straight. There's a question that is as yet unanswered by the White House. Will Trump go to the trial, this gun trial? Will he be in the audience as a sign of support for his son? One hears through the grapevine and some reporting that's been done, and people at the White House are saying privately that he's completely distracted by the legal problems of his son. Hunter Biden has got this trial beginning on June 30th, and then there will be the tax trial, which happens in September. Timing couldn't be worse, actually, for them, because we'll be talking about all this stuff with Hunter Biden as we are getting closer and closer to Election Day in September. But, it seems kind of inappropriate or not good judgment to go over and see Hallie Biden just 8 days before she's expected to testify in the trial of his 54-year-old son. Something. By the way, Hunter Biden's got other problems. Listen to this. This is from the Washington Examiner. A tell-all book from London Roberts, the ex-stripper and mother of Hunter Biden's estranged child, Navy Joan Roberts, is set to hit shelves late in August. The book is called Out of the Shadows, My Life Inside the Wild World of Hunter Biden, dives into the relationship London Roberts had with the son of President Joe Biden, and describes the first moment the pair met, according to a description from Skyhorse Publishing. He was sitting there. Listen to this. This is just too good. He was sitting there wearing nothing but parrot boxer briefs, organizing his pipes, crack pipes, I guess, on his Rosemount Seneca desk. An excerpt from the book reads, I was sitting in Barack Obama's actual chair from the Senate floor. I took another look at Hunter, this kind, intense, and startlingly transparent man, and thought, this is definitely a guy I want to get to know better. Yes, he's sitting in his underwear, organizing his crack pipes, and you come up with a conclusion that this is somebody I need to be associated with. The book also details London Roberts' journey from Arkansas to Washington, D.C., and the live-for-the-moment energy of Hunter Biden. What followed from that first meeting was a wild journey that would come to define London's young life in ways she could never have anticipated, the description reads. Wow. Chronicles the roller coaster ride of a relationship, including on the drug cook working in Rosemont Seneca's kitchen, strip clubs where Hunter might try to pole himself, protecting him from what would be terrorists in New York City. The night she grabbed two guns and was certain she would have to fatally shoot a crazed MMA fighter, and dozens other stories that make the laptop debacle seem routine. London Roberts and Hunter Biden privately settled a child support dispute in Arkansas late last year. This is set to be released about the time his trial begins, August 20th. The timing on that is not very good. Not very good at all. Joe and Hunter Biden used a visit to Sandy Hook Memorial to set up a secret meeting with the Chinese over a $10 million a deal year, new emails reveal. Now, on December 12th of 2017, we now know that Hunter wrote on the Chinese messaging app WeChat to Liu Yadong, a top executive at Chinese oil giant CEFC, to arrange a meeting with his father. And again, this is really sort of sordid stuff. Can you meet this evening early? My father will be in New York and wants me to attend the Sandy Hook Memorial service with him, and I would like him to meet you along with my uncle. They're going to Sandy Hook. A memorial service at Sandy Hook after the tragedy there. And they're using it as an opportunity to make money. I would like him to meet you along with my Uncle Jim, and then you and I could let me know if that works. He replied, no problem, let me know when and where to meet. And they did apparently meet. You know what this does? What's interesting about this is that it is a situation where time and time again, the more information we get, the more emails we see, the more that gets decrypted and made public, the people who are telling the truth each and every time are the IRS whistleblowers. Every single time that we get more information, it backs up their claim and their story. They're telling us the truth about what was going on and how they were thwarted at every effort in trying to conduct an investigation and all of that stuff. I mean, it's very clear their credibility is very high, whereas Hunter Biden's credibility is not very high. And Joe Biden's credibility, I mean, here he is meeting and setting up a deal and having involvement in a deal that brought in $10 million a year to the Biden clan, Biden Incorporated. And he's claimed from time at the very beginning of this thing, time in memoriam, he said, you know what? I didn't know anything about what was going on with Hunter's business dealings. I didn't know who he was dealing with. I didn't know anything about it. Well, that's total you know what. He absolutely knew. He actually was in attendance at these meetings. Yeah, this is the same group that Hunter Biden sent the email to saying, hey, Dad's right here with me. Want to know where our money is? Where's our money? You didn't send us the money. We want that money now. And they did end up sending the money. So, again, one of these things is this is very strange stuff. But again, who is credible? The IRS whistleblowers are credible. Who is not credible in all of this? I think you would have to say that it is Joe Biden and the Biden family, because they can't get their story straight. And the things that they have said publicly have turned out not to be true. Time and time and time again. It looks like nothing is going to happen in a timely way here in the courtroom down in over in New York. We are watching it, and again, nothing has happened in the last few minutes, and they're going to close out in about 10 minutes. It is now 50 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.